Welcome, Mr. KingCanada. I have to remember not to use your legal name. My name is Holden Stephan Roy. And welcome to Bridge the Gap, which is the show where we take very interesting people such as yourself and we walk through your life story and we learn knowledge nuggets based on the knowledge nuggets of your life story. I mean, it's as vague as that because it's an experience. We don't even know what direction it's going to go yet. But it is a pleasure to have you here, you in particular, because you're not just an artist, just so that people know. He does more than just the artistry that we were listening to. He has the whole bring the bars. I would call it a movement. That is a good word for this. The guy does interviews. The guy does all sorts of stuff. It's almost like he's in my lane of shit, like real media mogul type crap going on. I'm like, yeah, let's get it. So for me, it's like especially fun to talk to those people because, like, you know, he gets things like, you know, maybe some people like showing up 3 minutes late a lot, and he's like, yeah, I feel you, and I'm like, yeah, he gets it for real. So for me, it's a real treat to have people that are like in line with being a peer like that on here because it's funner. But I do have a bit of a token first question. I like to just get into it and ask it. It's a bit of a story. When it lands, you can run with it, and however you want to answer it is totally cool. But it all starts with my girlfriend, and she's washing the dishes, and she's got her phone out there, and she's busting that Black Eyed Peas song, that I got a feeling, and she's dancing, and she's doing her thing. And I started thinking about that song and how nifty it is that nowadays in this time, it's chores music, it's exercise music, it's, you know, getting boogie time music in the modern era for our age group and whatnot. But if we were to think about just that song, go back about 10 years in time, you would see that song has us in the clubs, super drunk, jumping up and down, dancing in circles and stuff, which is crazy to think about because that means that if you look at music on a spectrum over time, it means that all the Cardi B's and everything that we hear in today is about to be the stuff kids 10 years ago watched their parents wash dishes to and whatnot. And that's the facts of that music, everybody making club music right now. And so that's nifty how it all just kind of works like that. So it got me thinking about our own musical journeys, because if music in time kind of works like that and all these vibes and associations change, and we usually think about ourselves and we only really start forming our identity around puberty, we tend to have the conversation as of when we get into music. But the fact of the situation is your musical journey actually starts a little bit before that, like when you're born and you come out and there's sounds around you as you start to elevate as a very young KingCanada. So basically I was hoping you could walk us through the soundscape a bit. So as an example, like I'm like 5 years old and my dad's got those little gray like amplifiers and tape decks and shit strung up the speakers, and he's playing that Led Zeppelin shit, and it's just like there. And then sometimes it's car radios with technos at night, and then my mom's got these bad disco knockoff tapes that she would play her annoying musics on. And then, you know, like in the car sometimes it was Krista Burke. Anyway, all these musics and vibes and sounds are things that came from my memory and ultimately formed this whole kind of path towards the stuff that I'm interested in today. So I was hoping that you could walk us a little bit through what it was like when you were a 5-year-old, 4-year, whatever the earliest you can remember, KingCanada, and what the sounds of that environment were like, the technologies, the whole, all of it.
Yeah, for me, definitely was very young age. My dad was really into classic rock. So that was always playing through cassette decks and definitely in the vehicle and all the time. And to think of like my earliest memory of really remembering a musician would have to be on his behalf, what would be Alice Cooper. He was a massive fan of Alice Cooper, and I just remember him because when the end of the school year, he would wake me up in the morning by playing "School's Out for Summer."
My dad did that too.
Yeah, just blasting that. Like when I was young, 6 years old, or like as far back as then, and then that was definitely my earliest memory. And then my mom on the other spectrum at her house was a lot more of the popish sounds. She was like the Cher and all that kind of stuff. But definitely classic rock stands out as the main ones that I remember the most. Definitely Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, and all that stuff. And for Alice Cooper too, what struck me was because he was a massive fan. He had all the records, he had the CDs, and just how he was a performer. He wasn't just an artist. It was a whole presence, a whole character that he built, in this like persona he made in his shows. I saw him twice live as I got older, and he just puts on an unbelievable show. So it was the whole entertainment aspect of music that he brought to it that actually really blew me away. And I was like, this is really cool. And so that's definitely my earliest memory is Alice Cooper 100% with my dad.
That's amazing. So let's stay around that age for a little bit before we move on. So were you like into the singings at that point? Were you belting along and singing and doing all sorts of dances and choreographed moves to the Alice Coopers and whatnot?
I'm not a dancer, never was, so I definitely wasn't dancing, but I was definitely shouting, singing out "School's Out for Summer" 100%. And even like when I got younger and I'd hear his song 18, and I was like, I can't wait to turn 18. It just struck me as 5, 6 years old. Like I can't wait to turn 18, and I'm gonna sing this song karaoke. Never did, but but I definitely was singing it out. And what I liked with his too a lot is he rhymed in his lyrics, and rhyming just always struck me compared to more of a melody, I guess, if you put it that way. But definitely the rhymes always stood out. And even when I was younger, me and my childhood friend, we had a little keyboard that made all these different sounds. We're like, we're going to start a rock band and playing little sounds on the keyboard, and we'd write lyrics. And my lyrics always rhymed with our rock band. This would have been
when were you doing that?
8 years old, must have been 8 years. My childhood friend.
That's exactly the stuff we're digging for, believe it or not, is that the fact that you were a keyboard meaty fucking rock band songwriter at 8 years old. That's some shit that people need to hear more about.
I couldn't play keyboard. It was one with the preset sounds, and I'd hit the drum on the one, and the other one. And I can't remember what our band was called or anything, but I do remember
one. Sounds like you a DJ master to me. Hey, the skill threshold is low. Tell us.
I was saying, I remember one song we did. I never remember the name of what we called our band, but was Soaker, because we went outside and got our feet soaked in the puddle, stepping in the shoes. So we did a song called Soaker. And that always just stood in my head for some reason. This is 8 or 9 years old when all that started, for sure.
That's amazing, because it means that for real, you got into music as an artist at like single-digit years. You can argue whatever about how good or bad an 8-year-old bust out his keyboard skills, but the fact is, it still gave you experience points in the RPG that is this music game. Thus, you leveled up and gained acquisition and knowledge at an earlier age than a whole lot of others. So I think it's super cool to delve into that stuff. But before we go past this point, we have to still stick around this for a little bit more, because I like to go through the elements a little bit. And there's still a couple more elements to ask about, specifically the drawing side. That would be like the last one, really. Were you into the drawings and whatnot when you were young? Are you a visual person like that?
No, I never was really much of the visual artist, to be honest. I did as I got older, because I went to school for editing, video editing. So I got into that medium, but that wasn't till way later in life. As a kid, it was, I was into Art Attack and stuff like that, but I couldn't put together any of the pieces for any art myself. I was horrible at it, but I'd make my horse blue and my grass red, and I didn't even know how to draw anything. I still don't know how to draw anything.
But not all of us can say we were songwriters at 8, so fair enough. You still winning in that front, in my opinion. That's dope, though. So at 8, what kind of stuff were you influenced by musically? Because if you're already at the point where you're making songs, you must already have a couple little favorites at that point in time.
Oh, yeah, like I said, definitely the people who put on a show, like the artists that really put on shows. I was influenced by that because just the whole, not just the music side of it, but the whole entertainment aspect side of it. And just making it a real life like character and almost like a movie, a TV show where you can take them through episodes.
We just got a good question. I also have a follow up to that. But what's Art Attack from Willie Scandos? I half remember it, so I'm gonna throw that one to you.
It was a British guy, I believe it was the show, and he'd teach you how to put these arts and crafts together. And then every episode ended, he would do one massive like painting himself or like a big area of sand. And he would draw a big thing in the sand with his fingers. He always ended with a big thing. And I remember watching that with my grandma, and I was always blown away. I would attempt the little arts and crafts you do throughout a show, but they never worked out as good as he did it himself. And especially the endings there, that would get my dad and my grandma just blown away what this guy was doing.
That's really cool. I like that stills. I mean, anytime we can throw things back to like memory lane, it's a good time. That's how I feel about that. No, but so you got this position, right? So you start your musical journey. You're into theatrical, kind of big entertainment bands. But how does an 8-year-old you stay in the loop with what's new? How are you actually finding this music at that point?
Through my dad, it was always old, so it was never new a lot of the times
Mm,
until I really started spending time with my sisters. They lived with my mom, I lived with my dad. We're in two different provinces, so I didn't see them often. But when I go see my sisters, and this is when, 99, I would have been 9 years old, where I was introduced to like the Eminems and the DMXs and that kind of hip hop that really, and by the way, prayers out for DMX.
yeah, I
But
was like, I have to go do the Google now to see if it got worse. No, it's good.
yeah,
We're still good. We're still good for now.
so it was definitely my sisters who brought me in. Shaggy, it wasn't me in 2001, 11 years old, showing me that kind of music. So my sisters were huge in
Mm.
introducing me to the new pop culture. With my dad, it was always the 80s rock, and that's all I knew. I didn't know anything coming out in the 90s. And then over time, I guess I found out the Blink 182s and stuff like that through school. But yeah, definitely my sisters are the biggest part of me finding out pop music, pop culture, really.
That's interesting stills. I was always the older brother, so I'm the one that taught my little brother all that stuff. So it's always like cool to just hear other people's versions of this. In general, it's like that's why we go through it, is partly to see the technological things. Like, so you had the siblings, you're in the CD era, you're not in the YouTube era. I know, because I
Yeah.
remember that time of life. And just the way you frame it, like, I know what it is to be a guy that comes in with the DMX Eminem pipeline. I know that pipeline into hip hop because that's the one I went down. So I fucking relate heavy to that.
Yeah, and it got me after realizing how much I loved it. Like I said with the rock, how I write rhymes in my lyrics. When my sister first showed me, Eminem would have been the first rapper I believe I heard, and I was like, "There's a whole genre based on rhyming. Like, what the hell is this?" And that blew me away, and it made me go back and then like, okay, who's Tupac and like, what's Biggie, Big Pun, Big L, and I went back and I was just Big Daddy Kane, like all these guys. I was like, I can't believe this is a genre of music. I'd never heard it before. Just being with my dad, it was rock, 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 rock. No
Mm.
country, no hip hop, just rock all the way. So that's all I knew until my sisters introduced me to this whole new world, really, of sounds, like you would say, and this whole new elements of music that I never knew even existed.
Yo, Willie just asked a good question that I forgot to ask sincerely. Where were you from at this point? Like, where does the first beginning of your life start?
I was born here in Quebec, in Hull, Quebec, but I lived most of my childhood. Like my parents divorced when I was young, 4 years old, and I lived in North Bay, Ontario, is where I grew up all my life till I became 18, and then moved back up here to the Gatineau region. So
Fa-
Ontario, North Bay, that's by Sudbury, 4 hours from Toronto. Yeah, I'm in Gatineau now.
mm, Fair. I was looking at where Gatineau was because I thought it was next to Hull, and then I realized it was next to Hull, and then it made a lot more sense. But
Right
yo,
across the bridge from Ottawa. Yeah, literally, you cross the bridge, you're in Gatineau.
mm, it's like I was just looking at it. Quebec is such a bizarre shape, and the whole like way it like folds over. Canada's bizarre. Um, but yeah, so you're like 8 to like 9. You're interested in making songs in almost like I guess a hobbyistic kind of way. You're 8, 9,
Yeah.
whatever. So do you pursue that for a minute? Is that like a thing that happens for a while, or is it like a short little stint?
No, it was a short stint for the like writing the rock songs, but I really got into poetry in school, elementary school and high school and stuff, and short stories. So it grew to that aspect of it until I was really introduced to hip hop. I would have been 10, but to actually pursue it, I would have been in my teens, learning what
No,
freestyling
but you're
was and
talking about
freestyle.
poetries and short stories at like 8, 9 is just as big a flex. So you should probably expand on your creative enterprises here.
Yeah, the poetry just always just wrote it for school. Like I never really did it on myself. Like I did little poetry notes. Like I had a journal and stuff like that. So I would do my poetry in that sense. The short stories, I always loved making short stories. I'd make a short story on the snowman I built outside, or I'd make a short story on pretty much anything. Like I was into Pokemon at the time, so I made my own Pokemon episode. And I would write my own kind of like episodes really into wrestling. So I'd write a wrestling show and just short stories of based on characters I knew. Nothing really unique that came from my mind. Like I built this new character, but just kind of writing my own. version of these already existing characters as kind of my short stories at the time.
I mean, again, for 9 years old, fucking impressive. Like, maybe not the greatest. It's a 9-year-old effort, but for real, super cool. Like, I'm impressed. I love that shit, but it just shows the layers of your creativity. Because, yo, if you take any stock in that Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours to perfection type shit, what you're already doing at this point is flexing them creative muscles and getting that juices in now that leads to your whole journey later on, right? So it is worth pointing that out. Not just for people today, but also like the parents and shit that could be watching here and, you know, fornicating and making children's. You know, look at that. This fostered the creativity then turns into fucking KingCanada. See what I'm saying? Like, there's correlations there. All right, so you basically bust into short stories, flexing the imaginative muscles, and then you, from what I understand, next you discover like hip hop proper.
Yeah, I discovered hip hop. Must have been 10 years old, I guess, first time I discovered hip hop, and that changed everything for me, music wise, everything. I was still branching out into like the classic rock. I always liked it, and then I was into the Nirvanas, and when Blink 182s and Sum 41s and stuff came out, I was into all that. But hip hop definitely, I don't know, it just grabbed me in a way. I couldn't believe, like I said, with the poetry and stuff, I couldn't believe there was a genre based on rhyming and lyrics of a not, most times back then too, not a guy singing a book or anything, just talking through a beat. And it just, you can hear the words and you can feel the words. So I fell in love with it absolutely right then and there. First second I heard it. So
that's amazing. So you fell in love with the hip hop on a first love at like 11, 12, let's say pre-teenish ages.
Yeah, 11, 12 for sure, yeah.
And then at this point, do you want to do it or are you just a fan for a while?
Just a fan. I'd never inspired to do it until I started freestyling with friends that would have been 14, 15, 14, I would say roughly, freestyling with friends at high school. And then, because I already had rhymes built up in my head from the poetry writing and this. And so, I didn't know how to go on a beat. I didn't know anything, but I can rhyme out and freestyle. So that's how it started with me on that.
So basically from 10 to 14, you're just being a kid doing your life. And then y'all start freestyling, just doing your things as teenagers, however it is that y'all get around to doing that. And that's fucking blessed. Yo, shout out Golden Jenny from Norway. So I always like it because whenever she's here, we know we're Europe, and that makes me fucking happy.
Shout out to Europe.
It's amazing, for real. So do you do like just a bunch of freestyles for a while, or does it like evolve in high school? Like, I don't know what the next part is. Do you guys performing? Are there talent shows? Walk us through a bit of your teenage rapping experiences.
Started at just us buddies getting together because we're all in the hip hop and freestyling. My core group of 3 or 4 friends. So we do it when one of us would go to each other's house. We'd throw on a beat and just freestyle. And then after that, when it got to house parties, this would have been 16 years old, I guess.
You've been KingCanada for a minute then.
Yeah, actually, it started off. I had the name The Enterprise actually when I first started off. And that was my nickname in high school. The one man enterprise is what I actually went by in high school. But it was a very dark tone and a different, almost like ICP style performances and stuff. Once again, the theatrical part of it. And then as the years went on to like my 20s, it became KC because I needed to change that style, but wasn't that person anymore. And I wanted to talk more emotion and stuff. And for some reason in my head, I had to switch up the name and everything too. And I still bring out the Enterprise character in songs today. And I'll mention that character, kind of like the alter ego, I guess, if you were to say that.
I like it. I like it a lot. So the one-man enterprise is breaking shit in high school with the freestyle and skills of excellence. I'm just being hyperbolic a bit. I don't know how good you were in high school. I assume you were pretty good in high school.
Well, it's probably horrible, man, when I first started. But yeah, people seem to like it.
Well, it's more like if you spent all that time writing, like, I don't think it would be as horrible. It might not be like what you can do today, but like, I don't even like
There's
what I
just
did
no
last year.
topic to any song, any freestyle, no topic, no. It was just like, I can show off that I can rhyme. That's pretty much what it was at 14, 15 years old, for sure.
But that's still a huge foundational thing to work on. So mad props on focusing on that then, getting the skills in. But also you're learning how to do it in front of people. It took me a
Yeah.
long time to be comfortable even being able to think straight when I'm freestyling in front of people. Like I could bust a full written A to Z in inebriated states and make it work with a crowd every single time. But we got to freestyles, I was like terrible until very recently.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I started. I didn't write anything down really, except for, like I said, everything I wrote earlier. So I remembered the rhymes, but just to just spit it out into a sentence or whatever. So I did that. And that's definitely helped me out a lot, because I never have a problem with the rhyming aspect of it. I find I can, when I'm trying to think of the word, it can come to me and how I kind of want to put it together.
Mm, fair enough. So basically, at that point, you go through high school. You got are there talent shows or things like that? Sometimes people do that kind of stuff.
There was talent shows. I never did any. I was in the smoker crowd and the stoner crowd and stuff like that. I didn't do any after school activities and stuff. I was too cool for it at the time in my head. So
No, I respect that for the honesty. Some people really like the talent shows. I personally did not talent show. Or maybe I did. I don't remember. I have to think about if I talented showed. But still, so after high school, I guess what goes on? Like, when do you like delve into like taking things a little more seriously, or do you like go to like universities? Like, I don't know what happens next.
yeah, 17 years old is when I really started writing down and making actual tracks, and getting a recording program and a crappy little mic and putting it to use. So after I graduated high school, like, I focused pretty hard on my music from 17 till uh, early 20s, I would say, but it didn't go anywhere. I was naive, that young mentality of what you think the dream is. You put one song on YouTube and you blow up overnight, and
Nah,
you're
but that is that's
you know
relatable. I do know that one. But walk us through this more. This is your story, my guy. So you're 17 years old. How do you even get a song? How do you do it? What do you do?
Big shout out to my old buddy back then, Brennan. He was a buddy of mine, and he did that. He started a song, and he found a whole bunch of instrumentals. He had an instrumental, like, you download them off LimeWire and stuff like that back in the day, if you remember those things.
I do.
And
I'm
so
I'm
he,
a I'm a
yeah,
couple years older than you, so you're the same age as my little brother, so we pretty much had a lot of the same experiences like that.
yeah, so he got a whole, like, instrumental CD of all these old classic beats, and so he wrote it first, and he told me about the programs and stuff like that. And he's like, I heard you at so many of these parties and at school freestyling, and, like, you ever thought of trying to write one down and put it together? And all this, for a while, I blew him off. I was like, no, I don't really, I can't really write. Like, I don't want to go that route. Like, I don't know. I just didn't have a confidence in it, I guess you can say. And he really pushed me to do it. And then finally, I got the courage. I found this one dark beat to fit my enterprise persona, and then I wrote to that beat. And once again, I was still in that darker stage, so it was like more the psychopathic record kind of style. And I remember the song was called Confessions. I still remember writing that song to this day, because I was proud of the rhymings of it. But the whole thing was a guy confessing to the priest about killing his family. That's what the song was about at that time. And I was going that dark route. I was really into the dark hip hop and the dark, that side of it. So I built this character like Alice Cooper, who influenced me that I was talking earlier. He was a whole persona, a whole character.
Believe it
So
or
I went
not, I empathize more with it from the psychopathic records angle than I do with Alice Cooper. So
yeah. So yeah, that was just building that character. And then I really thought I was gonna be signed by Psychopathic Records. Like, after I did that song, I'm like, they're gonna love this. And, like, and so I did that. I even showed it to my dad, who hates hip hop. And he looked at me, and then first he was probably in his head like, do you need therapy? And then afterwards he's like, this is actually really creative. So when I got the approval from him too, I was like, okay, I'm gonna push this, and I'm gonna write more and more. And it came out as, like, I did a little 4 or 5 track kind of
so
mixtape.
where did you record them?
I recorded them in my basement at my dad's house on a program called Mixcraft that I downloaded. Free trial I got, and hooked up my mic to it. It was a little crappy mic, and went from there with it to do it
That's
also.
So for reals, my current mantra in life when I try to consider like my whole decision making is to think like a 17-year-old. And the reason is because 17-year-olds do shit like that. They just plug mics into computers and they use programs and then they end up with a 6-7 track mixtape or whatever you said the number was. And I'm like, that's what we should all be doing. 17-year-olds got some smartness to them is all I'm trying to say. Everybody needs a 17-year-old, maybe 18-year-old on the squad. Let's keep it legal. 18-year-old on the squad. Let's not go that deep with it. But it was more the creativity of it. Like, that's fucking fresh. It's one of my favorite parts of these interviews is hearing the ingenious shit that people came up with to, like, make their initial songs. Like, nobody has, like, well, some people do, but most people don't have this, like, I went to the studio. Nah, that's not what happened. It's like people were like, bruh, I had the karaoke machine, or I had the this, or the PlayStation was a fun one. So there are PlayStation rappers, as in they busted out the fucking PlayStation gear and used the mics and everything to make songs. So it's fucking cool to hear that part, for real.
Yeah, mine was just in my dad's basement. I don't even know where I got the mic from. I think it was even a gaming headset mic that I used for it that had the headphones with the mic coming down, if I'm not mistaken on that. And just in his basement and wrote a 5 thing. I didn't own any of the beats. I didn't sell it, so I went to high school. I was still in my last years. I would have been grade 11, grade 12 at that point, handing out my little mixtapes that I burnt on a CD on my CD burner to all my friends. And that was like my very first project. And like I said, at that time, I was focused on the lyrics, and the rhyming aspect, but I wanted to build a character, this enterprise persona. So it was funny how that came about, like how it had to go together and be the story of this character. And I was even like looking at masks and face paints that I was going to use if I was going to perform at anything to make this persona.
I empathize heavy. So shout out everybody in the chat. So PMC Entertainment Network started with Audacity, moved on to Mixcraft with the karaoke machine mic. Otis was on a Nintendo Wii. Willie was fucking busting PSP beats, using a Game Boy headphones as a mic. It's fucking great. I love this shit. It's so fun. I did not use any of that gear. I didn't have shit off. I ended up in some dude's basement. I've been in a few people's basements before I ended up buying like shit. I was actually stupid. I waited on some ego shit, and it really cost me a lot more money than to just like use some shitty shit. I even mean that for my podcasting. I realized down the line, like, I probably should have just bought $20 lapel mics, and it would have been good enough for like the first year.
Yeah.
And then I was like, 17-year-olds, smart-ass motherfuckers. That's what I'm trying to say. But that's still impressive, dude. You were in high school, dropped a mixtape, distributed it to your homeboys, and did it by yourself. Well, with your friend, with the beats. That's fucking cool. Like, that's just cool. I don't have another great commentary there because it's pretty flabbergasting.
Yeah, it was a fun time for sure. And like I said, big shout out to my one friend. He was one who really pushed me to record it. And so I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it. And I did. And I fell in love with it ever since.
Did you mix it and all that? Or was it just like vocals pressed to beat?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, vocal. I didn't know about dubbing and ad libs and stuff. It was just one take, go through. I didn't even punch in, punch out, anything like that. It was just one shot. Let's go through the beat and do it. So that's how it was.
I like it, man. I like your story so far. It's kind of like making me smile and some nostalgia. It's got like fucking passion in it. And we're still not even 18 years old. So you're still a teenager. That's fucking great. Yeah. Plus, first of all, I'm a juggalo. I just got to put it on wax so that the people know. This is an ICP friendly zone. Well, Violent J's kind of weird these days, but let's say in principle, I'm down with the clown.
Same here, man. Always was.
I wanted to go to the Gathering last year. I think 2020 was the first year I could have reasonably afforded to go to the Gathering.
Yeah, that would have been a blast. Yeah, but couldn't.
Yeah, so I think I'm down with it. I fucks with it. ICP is great. I got to see them on their Great Malenko tour a couple of years back, and that was one of the night. It was one of the greatest concert experiences I've ever had in my entire life. Like, I don't know have you been sprayed by Fago?
No, I have not, but I've seen their tours, like videos of their tours, and I wish I was.
Yo, man, it's okay. Next time they come through, dude, you got to. You just doesn't matter. It's pretty fucking crazy how weird it is that you like. It's just weird how much you like it, but it's so good to get sprayed by soda like that. That was anyway. I figure you might appreciate that. Most people don't give a fuck about my ICP story.
Hey, respect ICP all the way. I fell out of them recently and stuff like that. I don't tune in, but definitely Great Malenko and all that stuff. Like, holy cow, man, massive fan back then. And when they were, I always loved just their Eminem diss songs, and I was a massive fan of Eminem, but they were just so funny and so
I'm gonna try.
creative with.
The Dark Carnival is that interesting of a concept that I really appreciated where you were coming from when you mentioned them because of how
Yeah,
the world did lore. And so it's also very cool that you were that into character development for your own artistry at that point. So tell us a bit more about the world of the shit. I forgot it. I know it was like, fuck,
oh, the
forgot the name.
Enterprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a kid, like really based off of them, pretty much. Like I said, I was looking. At the time too, I was a fan of Slipknot, and like I was mentioning Alice Cooper and stuff. But I was looking for even mass face paints and building this whole character. That my character kind of came first a lot of the times in a lot of the music I was writing back then, because I'd be like, oh, would this fit me, and would this whatever. I never really rap about personal problems or anything like that because it just didn't fit that character I was building. And then over time, I will just skip ahead there, but just end it on that was that I realized it wasn't me. Like, I'm not that person, and people were seeing through it, I think, over time, which is what caused me to change away from that whole character persona.
So if I understand correctly, at a much earlier age than most humans, you made the epiphany that people really weren't into you faking some shit for attention.
Absolutely, yeah. They just knew me, and I was a really shy kid. I wasn't outgoing. Like, yeah, I'd do the freestyle and stuff, but I needed some beers in me and stuff too at a house party for that to happen. It wasn't just me out. Wasn't the most popular. I had my friends, but I just wasn't that character, and that character gave me the confidence, I think, to become what I am today because it got me out. Like, it's not me, it's Enterprise doing it, so it made me more confident, which I think did well for me in the long run where I am now, really.
So would you argue then that that was almost like an embodiment of who you wanted to be, maybe?
An embodiment of, yeah,
Okay, maybe not
probably,
like a serial killer type parts, but like,
embodiment of me wanting to be that outgoing person, yeah, for sure, and break out of my shell and to be that entertainer for sure. That was, and like I said, I was shy, so I wasn't really the entertainer, but this guy was. So yeah, it was who I wanted to be, minus the dark lyrics of it all.
fresh. That's dope. Again, that you were able to like start doing all this at such an early age. You busting through. You put it out. You discover early that's not how you get famous. Fair
Yeah.
enough. So what happens after that?
After that, like I said, I pursued it for a little bit with that Enterprise character till my early
But
20s, and
mhm.
then like I said, I put it on YouTube. Hopefully, one day somebody's going to hear it, and I'll get a record label deal the next day. Doesn't work like that. I was naive, and then I quit music for a bit. I wrote, but I never released because life hit. I got myself a girlfriend and a family. Life hit me,
Mhm.
so I got to get a job and got to work my 9 to 5 and pay. And I just didn't have time for the recording of music. And to me, at a certain point, definitely between I'd say like 24 and 27, I'd say roughly, it wasn't worth it to me. I didn't see it going anywhere. And that was the shyness of me again, not like wanting to break out. I wrote all the time. I just never recorded
Did you
it.
have
I
a
had such
kid?
a fat catalog. Yes, I did. Yeah.
And that's a 3 year period of having a kid? Because I have this
No,
theory. Oh,
the
sorry, go
kid
ahead.
I had, I was 26. So yeah, I was in the middle of that period. But it was 24 is when I decided to go to school for video editing. So my focus went on that. It
Okay.
deterred away from the music, and I wanted to be part of the art still in a way. So I went for video editing for in college in North Bay. So
Yeah, that's super nifty. So you never really like stopped. You just pivoted.
yeah, I needed more focus on that to graduate, and that's what I thought was gonna be my job. Really, was that within the TV field, really, and then
Okay.
I don't know, something struck me again, like for music, and I never stopped. And I was like, I'm going to give this one more go. And here we are now, really. That one more go is still going.
That's fresh. So like when you were doing that first stint, as the Enterprise, were you performing?
No, just house parties and stuff like that. That was it. And like my buddy did like a garage concert one time. So I performed on that, but that was it. Nothing like getting paid to do or go on tours or anything. No.
I've never been paid, so I mean but I'm in Montreal, right? So there was just maybe different opportunities for venues and bars and things like that. What's it like? So what's like the scene? I guess if you said at that point you're back in Gatineau, or where
No,
are you when you're 18?
then I was in North Bay when I was pushing the Enterprise, and it's not even a hip hop city, like at all. There's like no venues there. The only local artists I would play would be at this one bar, and they were just the same rock band over and over again. I can't remember the name of them, but that was it. Like that and country music, that was it. There was no spots for hip hop. There was no spots for that unless you went to a house party with other 17-year-olds, but they're not going to pay you to play at their house party, you know?
Nah, but it's just even in general, not even about the money side of it, just the opportunities or whatnot. But that's a nifty point, like to be a MC in a place that literally has no opportunities to perform. And I word it like that because sometimes people lack perspective on where they are and what opportunities are in front of them. But I think that's a really like fascinating point because you're 17. It's not like you can just go places easily, right? Like you're kind of stuck to your
Yeah.
surroundings. So, and then even as you get a little bit older, I mean, you're probably not like rich enough to pop off around and do all the things you want to go do.
Yeah, working part time at a grocery store. I was still living with my dad. There was no way I could have done anything besides just live off the money I had. And at that point, all my money was going to weed and booze anyway. So,
Ah, that's fair enough. I could say that that was a huge priority of mine for a very, very long time. It's still a priority, but not as huge. There's other ones that are more important now. But like, I just am fascinated by that because I don't often think about like this smaller town person's grind. Usually, the people I talk to have come from like a Montreal or a place that has like places to go do this stuff, like Brampton or some places like that, which have a
yeah.
couple spots, right? So I just had never thought about it, which is why I wanted to stop there for a little bit. So at that point, you give up, life kicks in, and I can see how you wouldn't be perceiving these opportunities. I don't think it's shyness at that point. It's almost pragmatism. Like, the whole world that is definitely telling you to, pipe dream this and all that bullshit that people say to us, right?
Grow
Like,
up and get a job, right? Like you're a man now. Grow up and get a job. So that's
big facts.
yeah,
I
that's what it
mean,
was.
so then you get the job, you start doing your thing, and you go to video editing school, which is truly fascinating. And you said, if I'm not mistaken, you weren't necessarily interested in that when you were younger. So what made you more fascinated or decide to take this like pivot and route in that direction?
I don't know. I started filming these like random videos with my buddies and stuff, these little comedy skits, and then I I hated doing the filming of it. But I would film it anyways. But it was the fact like getting the footage afterwards and taking all these raw shots, kind of like with music, taking these rhymes and putting them together to make a story. So that's what I
Mm.
fell in love with the editing, which I think played a huge part of my love for music. Was I took all these just random shots, like even my buddy skateboarding, doing skateboarding videos, and piecing them together in the editing program for a beginning, middle, and end, like a kind of a lengthy story. So that's what made me really fall in love with it. And it's just that whole process, like I said, compared to the music, it's kind of pretty similar, really.
Okay. I mean, I'm not into production or like a lot of that, so I don't empathize fully with it. But I also kind of do the more I learn about it. So like my whole relationship with video editing is it's like it was forced upon me, and after literally years of doing it, in ways I didn't like, I finally gotten into the idea that it's kind of fun. As long as I don't actually have to, I would executive produce in my dream. I would sit behind people and look at what they do and backseat drive my way to success. That sounds like the dream. But Brad, rapper and Habits World
RAP.
LVM are all up in here too.
Habit and RAP. Shout out to you guys, man. Thanks for coming on.
So I just figured we should give them the love that they came through. And again,
And I'm
thank you for
drinking on Budweiser. That's all Habit. What are you drinking on? Budweiser.
that's fresh. I never got that into beer, but I respect it. It's very Canadian of you, Mr. Canada.
I've always been a beer guy, and so not really much into the hard liquors or anything else. Really, like I don't even really smoke much anymore. So it's just have my few beers at night, calm down, watch a hockey game. As Canadian as you can get, man, really.
I love it. And you're so sincere about it too. So, tell us more about the video editing journey. What's it like to go to video editing school? What do you like learn about there? Is it worth going to video editing school, or should you go on that YouTube shit?
The funny thing was when I went to and signed up for the course, I signed up for the one in Ottawa and I got turned down. So they didn't accept me at the Ottawa one. So back in North Bay where this all started, they accepted me. And when I got into it, it was TV broadcasting and editing that I got into. But a lot that we were learning was behind the camera filming. So I actually almost dropped out because we weren't learning about editing, which is what I wanted to go for. And then what kept me in was we had an editing class and a studio class, and my love for hockey, we got to film hockey games. So that was really kept me into it. I almost was very close to dropping out. And then the editing aspect, like I said, just we would shoot anything from commercials to infomercials to like, I can't think of the word. Like, man, I can't think of it. Like, you know, like don't do drugs kind of thing. Like
PSAs.
Yeah, PSAs, public service announcements. Yeah. And then doing our own stuff on the side. Like I always loved filming the skateboarding and editing that together. And so, yeah, it just went from there. It was funny because I was very close to dropping out. And then what kept me in was like, yeah, but you get to film the hockey game. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll stick around for this for a little bit. And then I built my love more and I got to learn of it. And I wanted to do music videos was a big part too. So I wanted to learn how to edit because I wanted to learn how to shoot music videos. So I stuck with it on that till the end. I graduated. And then, yeah, that was a 2-year course. So met the love of my life in that school. And it was one of the best times of my life for sure.
So would you say it's like worth doing it, or like do you think there's value? Because it costs money to do this shit, if I'm not mistaken. So like,
oh yeah,
is there like a real ROI in like going to a school versus like skill sharing and trial by erroring your way with it in like 2021? Like, which would you say, having done that route, which do you think is the better route at this point for people?
Money wise, if you want to save money, you can pretty much do a lot that I learned from trial and error, to be honest with you. Maybe not the studio stuff like live and stuff like that, filming live and having a switcher board and editing live on the fly. That stuff, you have to be in the environment to really learn it. But a lot of it you can just learn, like especially with editing programs. You can find a tutorial on anything, man, that I learned from a teacher. I could have learned from a guy telling me on YouTube. In fact, they would put YouTube clips of tutorials in the class. I do it, I swear to God. So you either could, if you want the college experience and the fun time of it, but it costs money, go do it. It's a lot of fun. I would do it again 100% because just the whole experience of it was a blast. But if you're not into that and you want to save money, just learn on YouTube like I did through school.
I would say Skillshare is probably a little better. Happy medium. It's $10 a month USD or whatever. Everyone can afford that. But no, I like your honesty. I like your honesty because the experience thing is important. I didn't necessarily like. That's the one thing I kind of wish I had more of, was more of a college experience like you see on TV type shit. But that's the best you get if you don't have it, is what you see on TV type shit.
That was a big reason I went to it, because I like hit a spot where I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was like, all right, I'm going to just randomly dive into this and get the experience I want to get and have a fun 2 years doing it. So that was more of the incentive than learning the editing. Was I wanted, like you said, the college experience, and I'm happy I got it, to be honest.
Yeah, you met the love of your life. Best investment you ever fucking made.
Absolutely, man. I would have paid double, triple, and even more.
Nah, that's good, man. She's important. I don't know. It's always good to shout them out. Love you, Bunny. So what made you then, what did you do after video editing school?
Went into construction. I moved back to, I had my best friend here in the Gatineau region, and he had his own company. So I went and joined him because the pay was incredible. I had opportunities for the local TV stations in North Bay, but the pay was dirt cheap, and you had to start off as volunteer on top of that. And I was planning to spend my life with this girl I met. I wanted a family and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to do something that I can get money. So I'm going to work with my best friend in construction while having time to go back and dive into the music, which was a blessing in the long run, really, that I went back and went that route, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, evidently the route you took brought you to the place where you're at in life, where things seem to be going pretty good for you. So I would say it was a pretty good route to go.
Yeah, and I wouldn't change it all, any of it either. It was a fun way to get there.
So how did you actually transition back into music?
Yeah.
Like how did that come to be? Like it just you kind of like went fast with that. So like what made you go, all right, let's go back into music? What did you actually do? How did you conceive KingCanada?
Yeah, KingCanada started like pretty much right after college, near the end, because I did a studio show in college my last year where they wanted to interview somebody, and they wanted to bring in a musician, and he canceled. And then I remember telling my friends that I rapped in the past, so they brought me on as the interview through the school as the musician. And then I didn't want to bring up the enterprise kind of stuff, so I kind of lied and just said I went by KC, KingCanada, and then that name kind of stuck because it was more me at the time. So it's funny how that came about. And then once I finished that, and everybody was even high-fiving me on it, wanted to talk, wanted to hear if I still had music out from back in the day, and I couldn't find it anymore. I just didn't have access to any of those songs, so I started writing and recording again on like cell phone at that time, actually. And then I don't know, I just something in my head when I was doing the construction. It was very decent hours for the construction. It was morning to, I'd start at 5 a.m, but I'd finish at noon. So then I had all this afternoon time. So I was like, okay, I'm going to dive in. I have so much more life experience to talk about now, so much of like more to say than I ever had before. So I put it out onto the music, and then I just didn't find the enterprise, that character I built in my head was fitting. So I stuck with the KC KingCanada name.
So what kind of influences do you have coming into this? Were you still into the grandiosity of like the psychopathic universe, or are you now at this point driven by a completely different style?
Definitely a different style. At this point, I was really admiring the independent artists of the game. I was still a fan of Eminem, but I still am, but I just didn't have as much. I was really going into, I really became into Tech Nine at one point, and all the whole strange music label, Stevie Stone, as you can tell with my music, massive fan. The Chris Webbies, the Mercules, those kind of artists is kind of what I started listening to at that point, and realizing a lot of these guys, like even Mercules, kind of started off really grimy himself, and then he evolved into what he was telling his story. So I kind of related with him a lot. Like, I need to evolve as an artist myself. So that's how I pretty much started evolving and putting me as a person out there and not me as a character out there.
That's a good transition to make. So where were you getting beats from at this point?
Beat packs and stuff like that. At first, I leased beats. There's a site I used to use called Jija that I used to use.
I know Jija. I fucking did one of their second contest ever. I participated in.
I did the contest too, man. Yeah, I did it too. So yeah, I leased from them, and then it was beat packs for a while, and now I still get the some exclusives here and there. I get never lease anymore. It's either unlimited rights or exclusive, but it was definitely back then. It was just leasing beats with a contract, and beat packs where you can get like the 100 beats for $20 kind of thing.
I sincerely didn't know any of that shit existed, especially beat packs, until like a little bit ago. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I just didn't know. I swear, I went through the whole thing, and I just always managed to encounter people who made beats, and I always managed to get pretty great opportunities with that. It turns out, people, if you just rap on this shit beat makers can't sell, they'll often give it to you for free on some I just want to see it become a song shit. And so there's a lot you can do with this networking game as long as you like hit the peoples up, is what I learned.
And I'm getting that.
But I didn't even know about beat packs, which like honestly, shout out Siren Z. I don't know if I said that right.
Siren Z. Shout out Siren, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yo, it's always big love to have people come. I really appreciate it every time. Like you're at, we haven't been at 16 viewers in a fucking minute, so thank you for being such a fascinating character. Is my feeling on that. Um, so the beat pack thing really gives you a lot of potential, is what I learned. Especially if you want to go that like mixtape, like small scale, high frequency route. Like yo, I just didn't even know. So like I don't hate that, man. $20 beat packs, you get a bunch of shit out, you start writing. And then what happens at that point? How are you releasing it? Is this all the stuff that's available now, or is this like stuff that's not as available now?
No, the very first project I did starting back up really writing was an album I did called Glitch in the Matrix. And that was, I released that exclusively just through Bandcamp. I have some of the songs still on YouTube, but I didn't put it on Spotify. I didn't put it on anything like that. It was straight up on Bandcamp is where I had it. I took it off recently because I didn't know how to mix. I didn't know how to master. It was still laying it down, and that's something I really studied on in the last, I would say, two and a half years of like really studying how to make a song sound more like a song instead of me just talking over a beat. So that's something I've really picked up, and I'm still learning to this day because I do everything on my own. I do everything in house. I wasn't privileged enough. I don't know any friends who make beats. I don't know anybody who's really into rap in my friend list, all my friends growing up and stuff. I still have my friends I freestyled with, but they never pursued it or anything. So it was me alone. And now networking today, it's much easier. I've learned so much just from people I've never even met in real life. Like these people coming on right now, Habit and Otis and people like that. I've learned so much from these guys just without even meeting any one of them, really. Siren.
Yeah, I can empathize heavy with that too. I didn't necessarily have the most network driven journey. I got lucky a few times, and then I decided to not talk to people for a while, and then when I looked around again, I didn't know anybody anymore. So it's actually like it took me a long time to learn how important it was to actually network and reach out to people and do something, like try to build something. So that's
It's
why
huge.
we'll get to your buildings and stuff. But so you put out, why is it called Glitch in the Matrix? It's a cool title.
Just because my whole life just changed, and it like changed so quick at that moment. Like I had my son, and then like I went from like editing, like thinking I was going to be an editor, to like construction, to be like I'm back in music. So it's kind of like it went from 18 to when I was writing that, and it glitched. None of the in between really happened. It was a big glitch that I was just right back. So that's kind of how the whole Glitch in the Matrix title came about on that.
Makes sense. I wish I could hear it. You should just put out the unmixed stuff and all of it. It's just your
There's
history,
a
man.
bunch of it on YouTube still to this day. Like I did the husband and wife song that's on YouTube. Aggressive behavior. There's a whole bunch of them on YouTube.
Nah, I mean, people would cop that on Bandcamp, my guy. You're underselling how good it is to get that vintage. People want that old school King
And I
Canada.
made sales on that through Bandcamp, through that CD. So shout out to everybody who did buy it. It just once I started learning the mixing, it just wasn't. I don't know. I didn't. I wanted quality, and it just didn't fit what I thought I can do. So.
I totally respect that, for real. Unfortunately, the links, if you post them in the chat, are not going to show up. So I will get you KingCanada Spotify link, and I will share it because it's a quick second. I don't think you're going to mind if I'm taking a second to share your Spotify link. Feels like usually people like that.
KingCanada Spotify, all one word.
There's also been a thing circulating. I think it's every 20 minutes I said it, that'll plug your Instagram, your Bandcamp, and your YouTube. That's been popping off. So
yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that.
So
I appreciate it, man.
Well, I realized people kept going, links in description, links, and I'm like, man, there's bots. You don't have to do that no more. In the future, people watching, links in description. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like it should be implied. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just like overselling what other people do. Sometimes we do that in our little perceptions of the world. So what happens after you drop that? Do you start performing, or are you basically just still doing this online because of your location?
Still doing it online through all that whole Glitch in the Matrix, and that led to this whole thing. Was this Glitch in the Matrix? Was that album, because I never had features before. Like I said, none of my friends pushed it or recorded So I never had features unless it was my cousin would have been the only one that I would have had as a feature in the past because he did keep up with it, but I don't want to go into his story. But anyways, I did that. So I wanted to find features, and I didn't know how to go about doing it. And then I had people tell me about these, new rap Facebook group and independent hip hop Facebook group with like 100 and some thousand members. I'm like, holy cow, I didn't know about this. But then little do you know, you post your link and it's all spam. But but luckily because of those groups, I met all these people. So it did work out, but you're lucky to get one person to listen to it out of the 100K, and you're lucky to get that person to listen to it.
That was a very, I love that you said that moment. I did have a couple of good moments on those Facebook groups in my history. I met a guy because he made a petty ass post like, bet nobody's gonna give it a like. I'm like, oh yeah, motherfucker. Clicked on that shit and I sent a screenshot, and that worked out really fucking well. I got booked off of that fucking move. Like literally, that guy ended up getting me. It was like, yo, I don't know anybody. You want to come to the show with me? And I'm like, wait, what? And that came out of a random ass rap group. But yeah, mostly I agree with you. They're like I still see a lot of people posting a lot of things in there, but I've done tests where I've literally posted 15 links, stared at my Spotify for the next hour kind of thing, watch it, because it tells you active listeners, right? So you can get an immediate fucking response, and it's within like a minute or whatever, and you can see right away if fucking people are listening or not. So it's like you get that data in real time, and unfortunately the data is like, this is a lot of work. You don't get a lot out of it, but you do get. Okay, the worst part is like, so there's one time, I'm not gonna say names. This person is basically like, yo, if you follow whatever, we'll put you on our little playlist. And then they put me on the playlist for a minute. So of course I follow the fucking playlist. And then I go look later, and their playlist number is nice. But now, like a month, 2 months later, they've stripped off everybody that's not their core squad. And I'm like, oh, that's sneaky. It's like, it doesn't matter who it is. But people do things like that too with this in these Facebook groups where it's like, yo, it's really about artificial number inflation. And I'm like,
yep, absolutely. And you get those ones hitting you up like, oh, pay this for a certain amount of views on Spotify in 24 hours. It's like that you're not building up a fan base there. For one thing, they're bots. And another thing is no one can guarantee you a set amount of views in 24 hours. It's just like you can't guarantee that, because how are you going to guarantee people listen? And with these playlists you're talking about, you'd be like 500, like 5,000 followers on the playlist, but how much are actually active listeners or people who just followed to get on the playlist?
Those are great fucking questions to ask the whole universe when you're looking at all of this stuff. Yo, people post numbers, man, and I'm like, do you know what you're actually doing to yourself when you post that scorecard?
Yeah.
You just told me nobody likes you. I mean, it looks like people like you, but you told me with the ratios that people don't like you. And it's fascinating to watch how, like, this all plays out. But nobody ever hits me up asking me if, like to sell me views. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or right if people aren't asking me that.
Oh, my God. My messenger's filled daily with a guy who wants to animate a video or sell me views. It's unbelievable.
That's an unfortunate part of the future.
And to go to somebody on the comments there actually said follow for follow doesn't work. It is true, but it has worked for me in the past for a lot of people that are in this chat room right now. It actually started as listen for listen and follow for follow. And then the people who would respond that actually quoted a lyric of mine or said why they liked it, they actually list. There is some true people in there,
I would argue
1,000, you're going to get one or two.
So follow for follow is not the same thing as listen for listen.
That's true. Yeah, you're right on that. Yeah.
I would argue listen for listen is brilliant as fuck, actually. And it's a lot of people out there. I wish I had the time to listen. But listen for listen is nifty because it does allow you to have people pay attention. And when I first peeped the Bring the Bars thing, I tried so hard, and I'm like, man, it's hard to do that. So I respect all of y'all that can on some like time commitment shit, because it's like the only thing I can say is, man, for every 4-minute song, it's like 4 minutes, and then you add that by like 100, and it's a lot of time. So
yeah, you can't go through it all, man. It's impossible.
But like, so I don't know how to pick and choose it. It comes choice paralysis. When I see like 89 fucking comments on a post, I'm like, what? It's like the first 3 get all the love. This is Google first. actually counts for something, and that's it, or most relevant, depending on how your search is put in that shit.
And there's also more people in our the Bring the Bars that will get the more comments or likes because these people are also the ones who commented on their songs. So they're more inclined to check them out. Like there's certain artists on there that get bigger numbers because even on the ones that never check them out in return, they still comment on as much as they can, not really expecting a listen in return. But people remember that, like, oh, this guy's been sharing my stuff and I'll check his out now that he posted. So
Yeah, this is such a fascinating topic to me, right? Because we don't often get to actually talk about follow for follow ever in my life. So I like the way you're manifesting it because it's not really about like views and fans. It's really networking. You guys are building this follow for follow scheme as a way to pre-screen who got the right business ethic, who got the right attitude, and it allows you to vet people. So it's effectively just a vetting platform that you've created.
It's a networking platform for sure, and not follow for follow. No one's forced to follow anybody in the group. You follow if you like the music. That's one thing we're really adamant about. And no posting of really follow for follow, and no posting your links under other people's links. There's certain rules to the group, and then if you like the person, follow them, ask them for a collaboration. Most of them, they won't be like, okay, I'll charge you this amount of money for a collab. We're all in the same tier of status, really, of fame, I guess, or whatever. And it's just a place, to network and meet people to collaborate. But it got too out of hand, and it still is now with the original, which is why I created the private group. But that's the evolution of it now.
Yeah, we'll get there. I just because that's like more of like your story. I know it's getting all discombobulated. I'm following it, but man, I just really love talking about like fucking marketing in general because what works, what doesn't. I don't know. I have my theories, but the way you manifested your group and just that concept, I wouldn't call it follow for follow. I like that listen for listen. That's an interesting philosophy. It worked for me with interviewing. I don't know. Oh shit! I should hit that dude up for an interview. That's kind of rude of me. I haven't. Anyway, so I watched Mans's channel. He watched my channel. I ended up getting interviewed by him, etc. We became homies and shit. And it kind of it is a really effective way to like find peers when you're looking for peers. All right, fair enough. So let's go back to jump it back a little bit. So you drop your glitch in the matrix, and then I think at that point you're still in North Bay, or have you moved?
No, I'm in Gatineau at this point. Yeah, I'm in Gatineau at this point.
So is there Gatineau? Is this got like a scene going on in Gatineau, or are you guys just part of like the Ottawa scene?
More part of the Ottawa scene, I would say. We got like French artists, I guess, but I don't listen to that. Like I know one Broken Bridge was very popular in the Gatineau region. They kind of had a little name for themselves, but that's the only name I can say I know. It was more the Ottawa scene, but I just kind of moved back, so I didn't know anything about the scene here. I did this all just through my own whim, and then finding my own special way to network is what I did. And then, like I said, I was trying to find features, and then I found out this was a way to do it. So then I got some, and then I clued in my head, I'm going to make a whole collaboration album with a bunch of people. We can all help each other get our names to who they know, and then they can get into who I know and just build it up from there. And then, I still wasn't doing shows or anything at the time. This wasn't even that long ago. This was a little bit pre-COVID, really, a year before COVID. And then finally, when I built my name for myself, when I'm thinking I'm going to push shows and stuff, COVID hit. So kind of went.
Let's go back to that collaboration album. You're going to have to go into more details and tell us more about this, expand on it, the history, all this good stuff.
So like I said, Glitch in the Matrix, I was looking for collaboration, and I hit up 10 different people in those Facebook groups we were talking about. And then in my head, I was like, I'm still the shy person, nervous guy. I'm like, maybe they won't like it. They won't hit me back. So I'm going to hit up so many people. And then after I realized, I only wanted 1 or 2 features for the Glitch in the Matrix, that out of the 20 people I hit up, 12 responded. So then I was like, holy cow, okay, it's kind of easier to get these features than I thought. And then it built, after that, I was just finishing up the Glitch in the Matrix. And then while I was doing it, I had the idea, I'm going to do a whole collaboration album. I want every song to have a feature on it. And all these guys who came back to me and said, yes, I heard their music, so I liked their music. And the fact that they said yes after hearing mine pumped me up and motivated me so much to have them on a song. And I was like, what's a way to get all these people who reached out to me, reach back to me, I should say, on a song and on songs. And then I said, I'm going to do this global domination now, because I had people from the UK, Australia, and all these people hitting me back up, these different genres, like styles of music. And then I was saying, yeah, I'm going to come up with this idea. And then it became global domination. That was before even Bring the Bars. Global domination was kind of the birth of Bring the Bars.
That's cool, man. And I think it's like really cool. Was it hard to make? I mean, that sounds like a heavy amount of project management, coordination.
It was. And especially getting the people who said they would, and then you get those ones, oh, my verse will be sent to you next week. A week goes by. Oh, my verse will be sent to you next week. Another week goes by. And I'm trying to come up with already release dates and stuff like that. It was more hard to manage, to filter out who was serious and who wasn't. That was the harder part than actually putting it together. And then it pushed me out of my comfort zone, because I'd hear a guy like, let's say Otis Isaacs was in this group. I heard his sound and it was totally different than Siren Sirizi's sound. So I'd write a song based on their sound and their style to fit their way, so that we would mesh together on a beat. So that's how that part was not challenging to me. It was fun. It pushed me out of doing stuff that I wasn't used to doing. But the challenging part was getting everybody back that said they would, to try to filter out, okay, who's serious about this and who isn't.
So how many people did you end up working with on this project?
On the first global domination, I'm working on part 2 right now, but the first one was we had 14 artists.
Yo, this is a really nifty idea. I like it. It's one of those ideas I'm gonna write on a list and steal one day and implement in my own way, because it's fucking blessed. It's a really cool thing that you did there, and it's like really in line with like the modern way of doing things, I would call it. And I mean that, like, back in the day, you would have pulled this off by like taking a bus to a fucking city and dropping off mixtapes, and like there are a lot of manifestations of what you're describing in the physical real world, but we don't often have people who describe the digital hustle in an effective way. In an effective way. Normally, especially Facebook. Like, who the fuck leverages a Facebook group for fucking success in 2019? Like, what?
Yeah,
like,
what
you
have
gotta
been
understand. We're probably in like 15 Facebook groups together, and I'm just like, fuck that shit at this point. Like, I just made a post earlier today about how I approved somebody into a Facebook group, and I thought it was funny that somehow I have the authority to approve this guy in this random fucking group. Like, well, fuck, who's in charge? I don't know, but approve. You can come in, my friend.
It was crazy. It started just wanting a feature for my album. So then I just hit everybody up, and then I got all the responses back. And out of all those 14 artists on Global Domination 1, out of everybody in that group, I never met one person in person.
So I have another question related to this, because project management is a fascination for me. How much time do you have to spend chatting to launch this shit? Like, how many people do you have to message for this? How much time does it really take? Like, let's say somebody's going to come in and be like, I'm going to go replicate this guy's model. What would be like a fair assessment of how much effort you're going to put into research and networking before you can even really get to that point where you're really like working with people?
A lot, man. A lot of time went into it, especially researching their music was a big thing, because I really will go in and listen to them. Like I said, I tried to write to their style. So it started with that. It would be a guy I like, so I really went into his music. And then kind of like before I even hit him up, I'm writing a song based on his style and this way of how he does his music. And then I kind of hit him up afterwards saying, I got a song idea for you. Are you interested? So it started with the listening of their music, writing the actual song, and then hitting them up while my part's already finished being written. So that to get them to trust you, because so many people in this group, when I first hit them up, are like, is this a scam? Or like, like, who are you? They didn't have any faith in me. So you had to keep this rapport going with them. And a lot of these guys I chat with every day about not just music now, but about life in general. And I consider them all really good friends of mine, even though I'd never met them, but they're considered really good friends of mine.
You're big time knowledge nuggets. I'm kind of going through my manifestation of that. I'm certainly not as social as you. So I have way less people I talk to regularly. But for real though, you start off on this networking tip, you meet some people, you do a 1-2 thing, and the next thing you know, you're looking at their baby, and you're like, That's a real baby in my face. And it's
Yeah,
like,
surpassed my expectations immensely. I cannot believe even where it is now and how this whole thing just kept evolving into something different and bigger, and like all
but I
starting off with hitting that first person up going, hey man, I was just curious if you'd like to be a feature on my Glitch in the Matrix album.
oh my gosh, yo, if you hit me with that, I would be like, bro, who the fuck are you?
Exactly.
So how would you hit somebody today? What would you do right now? You coming in, it's 2021, you want to seduce a person to be a little feature. How do you
Well,
hit them
now
up?
it's different today because they're coming to me. I'm not really
Oh,
reaching out.
oh, so
Well, you know what I mean. Like, there's still guys I reach out to, but they hear of the Bring the Bars
no,
group from
I loved
other
it. You should
artists.
have your swagger. Y'all gotta know this guy's popping right now. I have big respect for everything. He deserves to be that to grandiose with it. But let's say with that sage advice that you could give, how would you hit up somebody today?
Really listen to their music first and show you're a fan of theirs and quote a song and be like, yo, man, I listened to this one song. This song was so dope. And like you kind of give them feedback on their music, kind of all about their music first. So they know you're not one of these other guys like follow for follow kind of thing. And then
Mm.
you hit them up with, I really like how you did this one song. Would you be interested maybe in the future of doing a collaboration? I have this song in the works that I think you'd be a perfect fit for. And that's how pretty much it just goes from there.
So that is mad nifty. But fuck, I had a question that was more better than what I was thinking. My brain blanked for a second. So you hit people up and you give them feedback. That was my question. How do you give feedback? I'm super curious where you go with feedback.
Uh, Quoting lines is a big one. What your favorite thing, and even to the ones, something I don't do it often because you don't want to like push the guy away, but quoting like, oh man, if you would have done this on the mixing here at this part, or even like not criticizing, like trashing it, but showing that you really listen and be like, hey, if this was added, this would have been perfect. Or if there's a certain line or a hook, like you really show you listen to the song, like you not just bullshitting through it, like it's playing in the background and you're like, oh, I heard it, I liked your hook, like, but no,
Mm.
you didn't pay attention to one word in the thing. You gotta pay attention to the music, especially if you want to work with them. You want to know their music, so that's the way I always looked at it.
Yeah, I completely respect that a lot. He totally did hit me up with this feedback business. This really did happen in my life, so I can remember that conversation at one point or another. I think I reacted funny to it or whatever. I'm like, I don't like fucking feedback, which is because I'm in a weird place with it where like I don't know. Like I said, choice paralysis cripples me sometimes, and I'm like learning how to just be like, you know what? I'll listen to like the 7 people who I admire, and everyone else I'm trying to actually learn how to get feedback better because I don't necessarily want criticism. A lot of times I don't like having to like explain my choices, but somebody gave me something that was really like profound on that topic. Ask for like how they felt, their emotional reaction to your music.
I feel the exact, you hit it right on the head there. Criticism, I take it and I don't take it personally when people give it to me, and I still get it, but the joys about music, like I've always said, is you can have 10 different people and they all have a top 10 different artists. Like their top 10 are all different. So this guy doesn't like this middle part, but the other guy loves it, but doesn't like the beginning part. But the other guy loved the beginning part. Like who's winning? You can't please everybody. So tell them maybe why you made the choice. Like you said, what did you feel with this? Like some people, it's like a certain constructive criticism I would take would be just like, you just weren't you on that. Like you didn't like,
I
you
like
know,
that one. I would
yeah,
appreciate it if somebody say you sound fake. I know that's a
yeah.
little ruder, but
It was
like
just like that's not you. So I like that one and be like, okay, explain like why it wasn't me. And it's like, well, you went and you did all this stuff about this, and then like I brought back the Enterprise character, let's say, or something. It's just like it doesn't fit with what we got to know you for. So I like it when it's criticisms like that, and you take it and you learn from it.
man, my only issue with that is sometimes people give me these feedbacks and these criticisms. I'm like, mad valid points. I just do not give a shit. I'm gonna do what I want. And then they get like, well, if you want me to buy your shit, I'm like, well, then don't buy my shit, guy. Like,
You do gotta look at it that way sometimes. Like you weren't gonna buy it anyways to begin with, even before the criticism. Sorry to say that, but like you weren't gonna buy it anyway, so you know. But I don't never take it hard. I'm like, thank you for your opinion. I don't fight back with anybody. I'm a very chill person, mellow person. I just, if you don't like it, that's fine. I don't really care. I got a bunch of people who do. So
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that at at a generalized level. But then sometimes people really like push it. Like they don't like it that you don't accept that their feedback is a better decision. And I'm like, how many songs
yeah,
did you write? Like for real, how many? I don't want to sound like this person that you're trying to tell me to sound like, because that would be
yeah.
bad for my like brand or whatever. Like, yo, I've literally had people be like, I would watch your videos if you had girls shaking their tatas in them.
It's kind of not really what it's about, but
I'm like, this song's about work.
what
Like
that
what?
reminds me of is the people also who argue of like their favorite artist. When somebody would be like, "Oh, my favorite artist is Tupac," and then another guy would come in and be like, "Oh, I don't like Tupac at all." The person who likes Tupac gets so insulted that this guy doesn't like Tupac, and they go at it. And it's like, who cares? Like, that one person likes him and one doesn't. You don't have to force your liking onto somebody else. If they don't like him, that's fine. If they do, that's fine too. Same
I
with
can
ICP.
comment
It's a
like,
good example of that. ICP, they're a love-hate band, like all the way.
but it's like a lot of times the way people approach that is like really polarizing though. So like as an example, if you look at Tupac the figure, he's a very incredible man, worthy of respect. Respect should be put on that man's name because of
Yeah,
everything he did in life, regardless of his music. So if you're like a real Tupac fan like that, and then you just see people talking shit fragrantly on the guy, like fuck that guy for whatever reason, you're gonna have a bit of a reaction to it. Like, yo, man, don't be disrespectful on that shit. The guy's my hero. In the
yeah,
same way that a psychopathic fan is definitely looking at Violent J like he the shit for a minute up until whatever. You all know why. But like up until then, it was like, yo, okay, that guy's like the dude. And it's like, so you're gonna be a little defensive because you attach so much to your identity and your aspirations. Like, yo, this X thing is bothering me because yo,
yeah.
X was the dude for me when I was in high school. I would
Yeah,
argue
those
that there
me
are
too, man.
parts where, I mean, listen, Eminem's a default. We all get inspired by Eminem just on the default of it. But I
Yeah,
like DMX more. Like, I like DMX's music more when I'm 15.
yeah,
It's just better to me. I don't know how else to put it. So, like, people disrespect DMX. There's a part of me that instantly is like, yo, fuck. It's like, it doesn't make sense. No, it's completely irrational. But that dude's
yeah,
like a guy to me like that. And I learned that as an album reviewer that, like, that's how people are with their favorite band. And so you're not allowed to say negative things about people's favorite bands on the
yeah.
internet or you get
There's a difference
comments.
also between disrespecting the person and what they did for the culture than not just liking the music. Like you can say like I just don't like Tupac music. Like for me, one I get hate on a lot, and I've said it in my podcast as well, is that I'm not a fan of Jay-Z. I respect everything he's done for his culture. He's a huge phenomenon, but I
His
just
music's so good. I don't
just
understand
doesn't
it.
hit me. Yeah, you see, that's what I mean. But I'm not disrespecting the guy. I just don't feel the music. I'm so, like I love certain songs, like "Dirt Off My Shoulder" will always be one of my tops. And I argued this a lot, not argued, but told
Have
people a
you
lot. It's
ever
not
done
disrespectful to him. And
any
I've
kind of
listened to albums like full force, and
have
I
you
just
ever done like a critical walkthrough of what makes a Jay-Z album brilliant?
no, but I've played through the album. I just don't like the voice. I just
Yo, I respect
something to
that a
my
lot.
ear. Yeah,
Jay-Z's
I
voice is
respect him 100%, but I just
totally hit or miss.
can't get into it.
He's a brilliant writer though. And like his first album
Absolutely.
is flexing for days, and then he went
Yeah.
in all directions, and like I admire it. And then like 444 has that shit where like there's no four parts at a for every four bars at a beat is like a unique experience that isn't like repeated. Like he's
Yeah.
just incredible shit. But you said the voice thing, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
That
the
made a lot of sense.
respect is there 100% of what he's done for the culture, and I know he's a lyricist. He brings true meaning to the lyrics. It's just I don't know why I can't get into him. It's just something in my brain doesn't let me. I won't hate it if somebody puts them on or something, but I don't go back to it. I don't when I
Mm.
hear it, I don't go back except for songs like "Dirt Off My Shoulder" and you know that's pretty much the only one I can think of at the moment. But like because I was an Eminem fan, Renegade, I did like him on that. I liked Run This Town Tonight with Rihanna, stuff like that. But it's nothing that I go back to.
Yo, Run This Town's so good. I was thinking of the other one on that album, The City of
New York.
York.
Yeah.
Yo, this shit's like, here's the thing though. I think Jay-Z writes pretty timeless material. I want to give him his flowers for that. You can listen to any Jay-Z song from any era of Jay-Z for the most part, and it still bangs today if you're able to get past his voice.
Yeah, don't hate him, don't disrespect him. Just he wouldn't be in my personal top 10. But I can go back and still listen. So I wouldn't say I hate him or don't dislike him, but yeah, it just wouldn't be in my personal top 10. That's my opinion. No one likes it. That's their problem. They can have their own top 10.
Everyone has their own top 10. But I think part of it is it's in the hip-hop spirit to be a little combative. As in, it's literally part of the culture from the jump, right? Like, graffiti arts, battle for territories. The hip-hop b-boy dancing's literally battling each other. So battling, in a sense, is just part of this, right? So sometimes I think people misperceive the arguments that are really just a battle of sorts of intellect and a debate. Like, it's sports, man. I'm supposed to be fucking arguing with you about your top 10.
Yeah, it's well put. Yeah, you get it's the same with sports, man. If you're if you're a Leafs fan or a Habs fan, you're gonna get the arguments between the two fan bases, right?
Y'all made me stop watching hockey for reals.
I'm missing the Leafs game right now. I'm a huge hockey fan, so I'm doing this out of respect to you.
Nah, it's just fun times, man. I get it though on that hockey tip, but nah, for me it's like the music thing like is like that for me. Like to me it's like sports. Like I don't really get into heated debates about shit, but I'm so happy to wrestle with an Eminem fan.
A lot of people are, and just everybody has a different opinion, and you want to just like you said, it's a battle culture. It always has been. I look at it a little different. Like I did the freestyle battles and stuff, and I love the competitive nature of it. But when I write a song with somebody, I don't go in wanting to beat them on the song. I really don't. I want to just make the best song possible. I don't go in competitive in the song. I don't have that mindset with the person. Like, oh, I'm going to ruin you on your own track or something, you know, with the Nas line, you know, Eminem killed you on your own track. But like, I don't go in writing to beat the person or hear their version and I got to rewrite mine. You know, I'm not like that when I'm collaborating with people. It's a team effort, in my opinion, and we're both just trying to make the best song possible.
I totally hear you. And that's an interesting set of ideas. The first thing I heard is you are not from New York City. Fair enough. The birthplace of hip-hop, where the culture is mad different. And I say that because I've not made friends, and a guy I've become very close with who lives in Bronx. So you can imagine how, like, I'm learning what the fuck abrasive means and how Montreal is not Montreal is not New York. I've learned that in a big way.
I love the battle culture. I still love rap battle. It's
not so much the battle rap culture. It's that like New York spirit is a little more competitive. Mm-hmm. Where's the birthplace of hip hop? What's it being in '76? We're talking New York in the '80s. We're talking New York. Yes, it's in other places, but those places also got that spirit.
But you had to stomp over. There's a lot of people who are reaching the same. A lot of people trying to aspire to be the same compared to New York, to where I grew up in North Bay. I was like the only one. New York millions all trying. So you got to step over the others to be better than the other person.
But it's even more than that. Like, there's so much to the culture. Like, I could go into it for a minute, but it's just the nature of the city forced people to be a certain way. In the way that in Montreal, moi, je dois parler en français. Si je veux gagner d'argent, je dois parler cette langue. So it's like, if I can't just flip into French, you know, I can't make no money here. That's the facts of the situation. So we adapt into a multilingual thing. Because downtown Montreal is centralized, we don't have the same kind of... So Montreal's done in a way where you have downtown and everything's kind of built around it, and then there's the West Island and the Far East. So those two places are very like localized because they're not built around downtown. A lot of people kind of group together. Then you get to this more middle part of the city where I'm at, and it's just this melting pot because it's centralized around downtown. New York is almost entirely more that like broken, things like that. And a lot of places like Toronto are like that. So all these things kind of impact everything around you and your sound and your music and your energy and all of these different things. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because of where hip hop comes from in New York, it's more like the spirit of shit comes from that. So when you talk about it, you almost want to puff your chest up a little bit more and get into it because I mean, like, all of our favorite albums are so fucking intense, my guy.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
they got a
no.
whole different mindset. Like you said, it's competitive there, and like I said, like I'm not the one who will try to outshine somebody else on the song. I just want to make the best song possible. But I'm competitive in nature because you have to be in this game. Like you got to be competitive. Where if it's somebody else who's like, I think I can do a better song than you, then the competitiveness is gonna come out of me and be like, I will murder you on this beat. Like if you want to be competitive in it, but if it's somebody I'm asking to be on a song with me, I don't try to not outshine. Like I can say I can try to outshine them because I want to be the most memorable verse, but I'm not trying. I won't rewrite and purposely try to bury them on my track that I asked them to be on. But if somebody has a beat, I'll write a song and you write a song. Let's who's better. You better believe I'm going to bring out my A game and try to destroy you in that
Holy fuck,
competition.
that's a good idea. I could make that a competition that I do. Fuck it. Oh, I kind of do, but I could do it a little different. That's a nifty idea. Anyway, sorry, you got my
Go for
brain
it.
going. I don't know how to manifest it, but you got my brain going in a YouTube battle kind of way or something where like we do something a little vainer. But like anyway, so yo, there's still more shit in your story that we didn't even touch on the real. So you do your domination album, world domination album, and then that comes out. You project manage it to finesse. Do you meet Stevie Stone at this point, or does that come later?
Stevie Stone was just through the producer I was hitting up. I never met Stevie Stone. I paid for those features. I didn't meet him and ask him personally, Stevie, do you want to be on these tracks? I paid for those features, so it's not. I won't brag and be like, yeah, me and Stevie are tight. Like I never met the guy. I've seen him in shows, but I never met. Like went up to him like, yo, can you be a verse on this song? And so it never worked out like that.
You know, it's funny. You got a whole bunch of Stevie Stone features to a point where it looks like y'all are homies. And like, no, for real. Like, I thought you were friends. I swear. I thought you just
Yeah,
like had a plug, but that's the impression you give off, right? That's a marketing move. That's actually kind of dope. So like,
yeah. I'll
here's
just
some.
write featuring Stevie Stone. I won't tell you like, oh, I don't know the. It features Stevie Stone, but yeah, I paid for those. So
But you know what I learned? Gucci Mane paid for his features with people, and everybody paid for their features with fucking everybody. In fact, most people pay for their features and shit. Almost
yeah, I'm not
nobody gets
hiding
it
it.
for free. No, but
Yeah.
almost nobody gets it for free. There's almost
Mm,
nobody I've talked to in my life that's been like, yo, this person of quality and clout gave me a free fucking feature. That's never happened.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
almost like that's how they make money. So if you're their fan, it's like whatever. It's like they kind of expect you to pay a little bit because that's how they make money and they're professionals. So they're not going to do it for free for the most part. And then
Yeah.
if you're in a certain clout tier, of course, they might do a tier for tat, but like, yo, nobody's handing this shit out. In fact, artists in a lower tier should stop, in my opinion. I know it's a bill contrarian to you, but I think a lot of people should stop doing free shit the way that they're doing free shit for the sake of it. The way you're doing it is on some networking, relationship building shit. So I would argue it's actually different than what I'm describing. So I want to
Yeah.
clarify these aren't the same things, but I see some people that'll just like jump on features and not. I'm like, bro, you could have made like a hundo on that because that guy wanted you real bad and you didn't even
But
see it.
but you also got to look at it like if your latest song got 1,000 views and this guy who wants you on the feature gets 1,000 views on his own, why is he going to pay you when he's getting the same amount of? They just won't do it. It's cross promotion is the way I look at it. The way I do my features with all these people and bring the bars. It's cross promotion. I'm reaching the people that I never had before because they have their established fan base. It's not in the millions and anything like that, but it could be in the thousands, and they're reaching mine. It's in the thousands, and we rise up together. And I have to really like your music. I'm not just jumping on a feature to get your fans just because I want to. Like I'm not gonna hop on a mumble rap track just because I want to get. Like I need to like your music, and I can be very critical of what I choose to feature with because if I don't like it, I'm not doing it.
And in your case, it's also special because you put in a gajillion hours into business intelligence, scoping out a whole network of people you fuck with, and this, that, and like, well, let's be real. You're doing the other version of this, right? You are doing a whole thing where you're paying in time, blood, sweat, and tears. So you are, in a sense, paying for it. It's just not directly, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that you are paying for it, and that is still, in a sense, or charging for it, even with effort, time, blood, sweat, and tears. And there's like an effort and a cost that goes into that exchange that is not the same as other things I see happen, where it's more like, yeah, I'll just do features, and there's maybe a huge mismatch sometimes on my perception. But also, the answer to your real question is, I have a feeling based on certain people are going to be a lot more valuable in 5 years than other people. And if you're hedging your bets on yourself that your value in 5 years is worth more than that guy in 5 years, charge for the fucking verse.
Why? I actually like how you put that. That is true. But the people I'm doing it with are people I see being somewhere in 5 years as well. Like I said, when I put together Global Domination, the hardest part was filtering out who I thought was serious about this and who I thought wasn't. That was the hardest, because everybody's like, oh, of course, man, I'll do it. And you hear a song of theirs and you're like, this was really good. I love you on it. And then you find out like this guy keeps like, oh, next week I'll do it. Next week I'll do it. And like, you know, his last song was released like a year ago and he's not doing anything. And then you drop it on YouTube once and not try to promote it any way you can, or invest in yourself. A big thing a lot of people don't do nowadays is invest in yourself, which is a huge key to a lot of this now. Is that dream of getting famous overnight is almost impossible to obtain. It still will randomly happen to certain people, but you got to invest in yourself and you got to believe in yourself to make that investment.
Yo, that's big facts. And again, I think in your case, it's not the same thing, which is why I keep bringing it back, because I don't want people to think I'm confusing you in this mix of people who do this free exchange thing.
Yeah.
But I've seen it happen, especially in contest group land, where it's like, man, people are like, I want to feature with anyone. And I'm like, anyone? Anyone? Do you see what you're doing? Anyway, or they're thirsty about it, which is kind of weird to me too. I'm like, thirsty about anyway, but like, you did the work though, and I want to just re-emphasize that business intelligence is big. It's what companies pay a lot more money for now than you would think. There's a lot more that goes into business intelligence than most other things, because it's what tells the marketers what to do, and it's what makes the data-driven decisions. So in a sense, when you mined the groups and went through and found out a gold nuggets, you went ahead and created these relationships on a squad that you want to build up, and then you put in the fucking network to build the squad a little bit later. So exactly. What you did is a very powerful move that is built on collectivism and is a completely powerful thing, upon which, of course we don't talk dollars in collectivism. Like, I got people I'm building with that too, but even to that end, if you can afford the money, which is a big preface, maybe there's power and value in offering it.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta, I couldn't have said better myself, man. I don't know.
I'm just, my thoughts on that. This is an interesting conversation I rarely get to have with people, I find. So sometimes it's just self-indulgent for myself on this platform. But I do want to know, after that album comes out, y'all push your shit, what happens in terms of your clout gain? Is it like worth it to do a huge collab album? Did it give you the return you were hoping for?
100% worth it. It built to what I have now. It all started with that. And the connections I've made from that and through other labels. Big shout out to Lost Voice Music, another label that is unbelievable, and I met them through this process. But 100% worth it. It took a ton of time. Not a lot of profit was seen back on it, but there was profit seen back on it from sales and stuff, but nothing insurmountable or anything big to be like, oh, I'm rich now or I'm famous. But what it built was that loyal foundation of all these guys that now has become what it is today. And that led to my show on radio, and that led to the Bring Bar. Like, it's insane.
So I wanted to pivot onto that and move on with the story too, because we never even talked about your radio one time, and that's so cool. So we gotta talk about your radio now.
I would love to. I need to take a quick bathroom break though.
Yo, do your thing. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna go play one of your tunes, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'll be back in about 5 minutes, man.
We got like an interesting question, in my opinion, from Ishmael, who asked, Can you explain what attracts you to dark music? Because he likes it but has trouble explaining it.
I liked it. Like I said, the character part of it, the entertainment part of it. A lot of these guys, like they're not like this in person, in real life. It's a character they built. So for me, it was the character aspect of it, developing this character from scratch, and the entertainment aspect of it. Really, you can do much more when you make this character. I find, like with ICP with the Fago and all this stuff, Alice Cooper with the blood shooting out into the crowd. The entertainment and just the character aspect of it, the entertainment aspect is what drew me to that, the dark music for me.
So it's just more that dark music coincidentally had more of that?
Yeah, and more like fictional characters, like a movie, like a TV show. It just had like these guys weren't like the some were a little screwed up in the head, I would say, if you really dig into it, but so are people who rap normally. But yeah, just they built this whole persona and this whole character. So that's what got me into like the ICP with the wild cards and the Joker cards, I mean, and stuff like that. Like that was smart, and it built this whole like entertainment genre, really.
So in theory, if people did this with really happy and lovey-dovey stuff, you'd be with it still.
Yeah, if they went that on to totally that spectrum. One guy too that I can say is not the dark music but built this character is I don't know if you heard of the artist. I think he goes originally by DTF, but Little Windex is his character. Yeah, that's a character, and he built this character, and some people still don't even know that's actually just a character. But yeah, that kind of stuff entertains me. It adds the entertainment aspect to the eyes and to the ears and makes it a whole experience.
That's part of what attracted me to Lil Yachty. I know it's one that people don't expect, but he's got Lil Boat, he's got Lil Yachty. Each of these things are clearly defined. He has not mumbled on a single damn song. If you actually listen, he doesn't mumble. But he also uses auto-tune in innovative ways and impacted like a whole fucking generation of people. Man, seminally a great musician. And yeah, but it's the characters actually. He has really in-depth work in his like character building. He is like a complete emo artist over here, and then he transitions into this more grandiose, materialistic rapper person. But then on the other hand, that's his life, so he's keeping it real. So I can't hate him for it. You know, I really like him. I feel like I've got people have tried me on this. I've brought up Lil Yachty lyrics, and he kind of sounds like a red man in his flamboyance, and I really appreciate that about him. And I think people don't give him the credit he deserves. But I understand you don't have to like him. Nobody has to like him. That's just my thoughts on that. But who are your top three, if you have a top three? Because Lindell loves it when I ask that.
My top three, I think, changes constantly throughout the years. But my mainstay in it would be Big L, would be in my top three always.
That's a good one.
Holy cow, man, top three. I always have a hard time with this. Like I say, it just changes. Like at one point I would have had Eminem in there, and but today I would go Big L, Stevie Stone. Not just because I have him on the features. I was a massive fan of his before, which I never bought features before, which made me want to do it. And a third spot's hard to fill, man.
You can just say KingCanada.
Big Pun, yeah, I would say myself, but Big Pun I would have up there as well. So
ooh, I like that
Big
one.
L, Stevie, Big Pun, and then if I went further, you add in the Tech Nines, the Eminems, Mercules. Like they rotate. I guess the third spot would rotate depending on my mood that day, because it just changes all the time with me. I don't have a solid set top three.
That's fantastic. No, I appreciate that, Stills. All right, because we're trying to work on this question. Let me try and ask it in a different way that might be more apt to what I think we're going for. Which artist, and this is just an experiment, we're trialing it here. What three artists had the most impact on you?
Eminem, Big L, and Tech Nine probably had the three biggest.
I think that's what you want, Lindell. We're asking it like this moving forward. This is the most streamlined it was ever asked.
Yeah, not because my top three favorites will change depending on my mood, but that actually influenced me and my music and pushed me to do it. What were those three for sure?
Thank you for that. I really, really, really appreciate it. So let's talk about how you got into radio.
Man, that happened so quick. when I first originally was starting the Bring the Bars group, to be honest, I don't even remember what came first, the Bring the Bars or the radio show, actually, to be honest with you. I did the global domination, and then I was meeting all these artists. Like I said, I had conversations with these people outside of music and life, and I talked to them. And they would tell me like, "Oh man, you're good at like being a personable person." So I thought, I'm going to start this podcast. I'm going to start Bring the Bars podcast was the name I had for it, and it was just a YouTube podcast that I wanted to do. And my very first episode, I asked an artist I worked with by the name of JP the Pompafillion. People, I pledge for you guys to check him out. This guy is absolutely incredible. But yeah, he agreed to be on it. No fan base built up on it whatsoever. I did the very first episode, and then Freedom K Radio hit me up right after that very first episode aired and said, "We loved your podcast. Would you be interested in having a time slot on a radio station?" And
What's
so
Freedom K Radio?
It's a website. It's a website radio. freedomkradio.net, 24/7. It's all hip hop. There's different podcasts on it, different shows. There's pure music slots. There's podcast slots. It's a radio station, a 24/7 radio station. More marketed in the States. I'm the only Canadian guy on it. And they just saw it, and I don't even know how they saw the podcast, how they heard about it, but they listened. They wanted me on. I had to send in like a resume to them, and then out of nowhere, they're like, "Okay, in 2 weeks, can you send us our first episode?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And then it went from there. And then the Bring the Bars podcast became the show on radio and not just the YouTube show.
Yeah, that's fresh. So how do you make your show? What do you do? How does it happen?
It's for radio, so there's no video on this one. How I make it happen was once I had the idea of Bring the Bars, the networking group, like we said, what I wanted to do is make it different than all these other Facebook groups. So what I did is I gave people incentives. So the people who showed true networking and that were actually commenting on other tracks and like, giving feedback to the artist, I saw that in the group. So I'd ask them to be on the show. So I picked them out through that. So people all wanted to go on radio, right? It is free. I wasn't all those other radio stations like, you want to be on radio? Okay, pay me this amount of money. I'll put you on rotation. No, this was all free. Just showed that you were true for networking. And so the ones who showed it got on, and then more people really started following those guidelines where now it became you're put into a weekly random draw. All the artists that are in the private group of it now are in a weekly random draw that I do the draw generator online. All the names, pull it up, and that's the guy I'm interviewing the following week. And it's been going like that ever since. And I broke it up into segments. I have a random bar segment in the show where the guy who's not getting interviewed, just some random person gets their song played during the broadcast in a segment called Random Bars, where it's just a random person that's also had their name pulled out of the draw, not for the interview, but just to have their track played on rotation.
That's mad nifty. A lot of that is mad nifty. So how long have you been doing that now?
I just finished episode 27, and I'm doing episode 28 tomorrow. So pretty much since the pandemic started, I'm about on about a year now, a little less than a year.
So it's what, every 2 weeks you drop one?
Every week, but in between I also do music specials of it, and I do specials. So there's certain ones where it's just me, but all I do is just play a bunch of different artists' music. At the end of this month, I did something, Autism Awareness Month was this month. So I've donated to a charity for Autism Canada, and everybody who donated a minimum $5 will be on the autism special. So I have specials like that, and it all goes to the charity. And so most of the times they're interviews. Like every 2 weeks is an interview. Every 2 weeks, or like in intervals, it's like a music special or there's an interview.
That's really dope, though. And do you find being on a internet radio station changed a lot for you versus being somewhere else like YouTube?
Yeah, big time. It brought more eyes to the YouTube and brought more eyes to the Bring the Bars group in general. Like, I don't even know what the numbers are, but I didn't invite all these people to the group. I couldn't have went in personally and asked everyone to go. They're hearing it from word of mouth through the radio. I get my monthly ratings through it and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely impacted in a good way that I've used it to help other artists, but benefit myself at the same time, because more people are inclined to follow the rules when they're getting something in return. So I kind of use it as like a not a leverage, that's not the word, but like incentive for people to follow what Bring the Bars is supposed to be about. If you want to get on the radio show, well, show you're up for true networking. You don't have to like the person's song, but show that you listen to it. And if you don't like them, like you don't have to follow. You don't have to. Well, I'm not going to be like, oh, since you subbed to 15 people, you're in. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's to do with, did you actually listen to the track, and why did you like it, or why didn't you like it? And that branched off into now different shows on YouTube. Like Bring the Bars is a whole channel on YouTube now. We're doing the BTB Awards coming up soon, which is going to be a fun show where we have everybody involved in it, and I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, tell us a bit more about that. How about what you can reveal? Because I don't want you to like spoil whatever you can't spoil, you know?
We, from the past year, we had nominees that were all brought up. We did a voting for the awards. We have top mixtape, we have top album, we have top collaboration, we have top podcast guest, just some fun little awards like that. And throughout the show, it's not live, like I'm editing it together. It'll air live on YouTube where we'll all tune in, but I'm editing it beforehand. I got performers, presenters, comedy skits. It's going to be a whole production that I'm one of the most proud, like I'm very proud of what this is going to become and all the people involved in it. There's, oh man, I don't even know, like 20 different artists all involved in this. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's really dope. And that's going to be something that you're going to do live somewhere, or is it just going to be like a private event?
Well, we're posting it on YouTube. It'll be live to run for everybody to watch if anybody wants to tune in. And if you're not nominated or whatever, check it out for some good performances, and anybody can tune in live. So, but the people nominated and stuff and winning the awards are all BTB members. You have to be a BTB member to be considered for any of the awards or nominations.
Which makes total sense given it's the awards and you're all about the proper networking games and the real investments of everything, which I think is really admirable, man. I think like in this era where like a lot of people talk a lot on the internet about this and that and the problems of this and that, and you've effectively created a solution for a lot of people, and that's like a really impressive thing to do in this era. Like, I can't say I've been super active in your group, but I know we talked a few times. We cool, but like, it was more like watching how you structured it and the way that you moderated it, but also let it become anarchy, but also let it didn't, because it's like, yo, you watching it, you paying attention to who does what, you running that data analysis shit, and you leveraging that data intelligence in order to find the right people to build with.
And you can get removed from the group as well. If you're spamming your links and you're doing the exact rules we don't want you to do, you can be removed from the group. So I keep an eye on that because I wanted to keep it the tight-knit community that I've built. And if, you know, a lot of people would say they're up for it because they want the free radio play. But once they don't show it and they start spamming the links in everybody's comments, sorry, you're gone. That's not what this is about. And I want to say to you, because you're giving me all these props and stuff, I want to give props to you for how good of a host you are at this thing, man. For real. I do this for my podcast, and you're really good at keeping a conversation going. So all the props you're giving to me, I want to give a little bit back to you. So mad props to you. You're really good at this.
I thank you so much for that. I just try to steal from all the great people I think are interesting. So I've been writing down notes in my head the whole time in this conversation, for real. But what's his name? Nori on Drink Champs just praises motherfuckers all day long. That's why people like his show. People like that shit. And it's sincere. You're a really impressive person. I do. Ooh, do your posts need approval from an admin, or do you just let it be anarchy?
No, it can go. It gets posted. I keep an eye on it all, though. But no, it doesn't need to be approved by me or anybody. It can be posted if you're an artist. There's fans even in the group that aren't artists. They just check out the music. So I'm happy it got to that point where we have people who just like underground music. Like, all these guys are named. Like, I don't listen to anything mainstream or even the Tech Nines or Mercury's much anymore. I just listen to these guys because I am true, honest fans of a lot of these guys. So yeah, feel free. You post your music, won't get censored. You don't have to go through me. Just follow the rules of it. Even if you don't network, just don't spam your links and stuff. But if you don't network, you'll never get your chance at the radio shot. But feel free to share your music anytime.
So how do you network? Define networking in a visible way. Like, what does this mean to you? Let's say I want to jump in and do this. What do I actually have to do to hit a threshold of this is network level?
Yeah. So what not networking is drop a link once a week and leave the group. You don't take any time to check out one other thing in the group. Like a lot of people, we all have lives outside of this. I'm not saying every day you got to check out 10 songs and comment on them, but I see when you're commenting on other people's tracks, just listen to the music. That's it. I see it. I see in comment that you listen, like the post. You can share as well, but that's not even a big part of it. You don't have to share. Just listen. And I can tell when you're listening and when you're not, to the people who just drop a link and leave compared to the ones that drop links, but they're posting on the 4 previous posts before theirs. Like you said, it's kind of sucks sometimes. The top 5 posts will get the first eyes you get on, and no one's going to really scroll through the page, but that's it. And just listen.
Yeah, on the other hand, I bet guy whose post number 73 would feel so cool if that's the only comment that happens. Because when you scroll through, you just see a comment there, that catches your eye.
Yeah, it does. And at one point, that guy was top of the list, though. You know what I mean? Like, if you do drop to number 73, at one point he was top. So
it depends on it, because I filter shit by the one that puts the first comment first. So I always go through Facebook posts chronologically. So
yeah. Okay,
73 is always going to be 73 on my list. But there's a couple. Anyway, that's just my Facebook preferences. I also use it on a computer, everyone. I don't really like mobile Facebook. I'm just going to
I'm the same. Mine's all through computer. I check it all through computer.
Big respects. Is it going real slow for you lately? Like they're deliberately making everything feel slow?
Like on computer?
Yeah, I find like my notifications load slow. Like everything.
Oh yeah. You click and then it's just a white screen. Yeah, I get that.
Like this doesn't make no sense, right? Like you're fucking and you're like, oh, you want me to go on the phone? You're trying to tell me to go on my phone? No, fuck you, Facebook.
The only thing I use the phone for is Messenger on that part, because I don't type a lot. I send voice messages to a lot of people. And that's how I think I got really close with a lot of people I got into the album and stuff, because I'm actually talking to them. I'm not just typing a sentence. I'm putting my voice and I'm talking to them.
Man, so it's like I feel you on every level. But yo, have you woken up and seen 7 minutes of voice messages?
I've never got that much. Mine are usually like there's a 1 minute limit before you have to do the next. I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but I've never gotten like 7 1-minute voice messages in a row. I hate it more when I get like I wake up and it's like 14 missed texts and a guy, it's like 1 word in every text, and I'm like, holy shit, okay.
I'm an awful texter. People can judge me all they want. I know how annoying I am with my single sentence rapid fire rate. But yo, the thing about this voice message thing is people can get that way, and it's not one. I've had like multiple people, and it's like message. And I'm like, man, you can't get me to listen to your song. Now I have to listen to this shit, which is twice as long as this song.
Yeah, I could have listened. Problems, though.
Your people are courteous.
Yeah, I've never had that. I've woken up maybe to like 1.5 minutes max. And most of the people I talk to as well, if they have something really they want to really say, they'll just call me through Messenger. They won't send the voice messages, so I'll just hit them up through that way.
So you're like really into this like virtual world. Like the virtual world isn't a scary thing for you.
No, now that I guess you can say I figured out how to work it. When I first dove in, it was a scary aspect, and even putting my voice onto the podcast and stuff. Like I didn't like the sound of my voice talking. I didn't like even when I first brought it out rapping. Doing this right now with video, I have my certain other video show I do called The Update. That was a huge step for me. I don't like. I'm not comfortable with that.
No one's comfortable at first. Okay,
Yeah.
Some people are comfortable at first. Those people are people that were probably doing it at like 5. I hated transitioning to video. I did 10 episodes without video, and I felt awful like the first 3 years looking at myself. I don't like watching my old videos. I haven't actually consumed any of my old content like that. I can watch the recent stuff because I fucks with it, and I think I look amazing. But like the old shit, I just can't watch it. It's just like it's like the past and shit. Like I know it exists and I know other people watch it, but I don't really feel like I don't like it at all. It's uncomfortable to think about. So like I relate heavy to what you're saying. I mean, I know I look poised and calm. It is like year 5, right? Like so I've had a lot of practice, and I do a lot of interviews. So like it's again practice. If you saw my November ones, they do not look like this. You got like, it's almost like you got the best version of me in an interview you could possibly get, and then the next person gets the next best version of me, is how I look at it. And maybe I miss sometimes, I'm not perfect, but like, it's like this gradual path forward. So over time it's comfort, and considering how much you built so quickly, it's like, yo, how the fuck are you doing it? But you built a squad and shit. And I'm like, oh, he did the squad thing. I'm still working on the squad part. That's the part where I'm like scrambling, because I got really good at working hard and hyper focused and disciplined and the fucking all the shit you're supposed to do by yourself. But then I forgot about the part where I'm supposed to play nice with others and all that shit, which is what I've been like really working on. I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta make sure I remember to let people talk in like regular conversations and shit, you know, like.
Yeah, and the way I always looked at mine was that I already kind of built the fan base first, so people wanted to see the podcast. People wanted to see the other shows I was doing. I had that established fan base, so that was like a nice step. Like people, I was nervous to go on camera, but they didn't care. They just wanted to watch the show. And I always describe as my show a show made by artists for artists. So if that tunes into mine, are artists. It's you get the odd, like I do have certain fans that aren't artists themselves. But a lot of it was made for us, like our community. That's what a show's made by artists for artists is what I always kind of advertise it as.
Yo, I love it. I really do. We are totally not the same with that. That is not my intention here. I'm making this shit to get fans for artists. Like, it's a bit of a pivot shift. But that's why we
it's a good thing,
Conundrum are fucking great, because we do different things, but collaboratively create the bigger ecosystem, and it's fucking wonderful. But yeah, that's another part of it too, is just that, like, your networking potential, man. You could basically create the plenty of fish of like fucking networking that's worth being a part of.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it change the way it is, because I went through those groups, and I'm sure every other artist has, and it's just, I won't say they're bullshit, because those people came from those groups. So I won't say they're bullshit, but if you're planning to just leave a link and leave, the odds of somebody checking out that link are little, very little. You're lucky to get one. And even if you get the one, they're going to tell you, yo, can you sub to mine back? That's what you're going to get in it. So you get the odd ones, but it can take a week of posting and trying to find people for them to even hit you. But like, I even do posts of people, would you want a chance of free radio play and are down for true networking? Whoever's up for this, please DM me. Don't post a link. And in the comments is 15 links. Like, the people just don't read it and don't get it. Like, it just,
well, they're just doing a different game. They have different goals.
Their ways to just spam links could galore, and hopefully somebody will listen.
Because they do. There is effectiveness to. Okay, look, I'm not saying that is an effective strategy to build success.
Yeah.
But if all you care about is views, I promise you can spam your way into views.
And you'll get, you will. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yo, my first song I put out is in 2012. I put it on YouTube, and I hit up literally every human I knew on Earth, and I got 500 views in like a day or 5, and I almost never replicated that again. Never.
But how much time did you spend that day just dropping your link there? You spent the whole day.
I was at work, and I was on Facebook on call center land. So firstly, I was already getting paid at this time, so it wasn't a complete waste. But dude, I love the dopamine hit. Dude, it's so good. Dude, that's you? Wow, that's... Dude, I was just getting that all day. It was like fucking porn for me. It was like, oh yeah, give me that praise. Like, I've never really done anything where like so many people like fucking cared. The second time I tried, it went from like this level of success to like... And then by like a year... Yo, sometimes, man, I talk to people or I hit the message button and I see this spam shit I sent in 2013 or whatever, and it's like, yo, I have to hit this person up now. We both know we're both going to scroll up and read the fact that I spammed this motherfucker 6 years ago. And that's the only thing I ever said to them. Yo, can you check out my new song?
Yeah.
Embarrassing. But, I don't do that. So, and it's I'm trying different stuff. I'm trying to give. That's what you do.
On organic views, or like I want you to be a fan. I honestly don't care what my view hits. I'm not the guy who checks Spotify for artists every single day. or my YouTube views. I'll check them in every once in a while, but I don't care. And in fact, there was one point where I had a video I posted on YouTube, and this never happened. And I knew by my watch time, it went from 0 to like 2,000 in a night. So somebody paid for the views, and it wasn't me. So I even did a post in my group like, I don't know why people would pay. Like, I didn't get these myself. I know I didn't. It's not possible. And I almost like debated on removing that video because I didn't. That wasn't real to me. Are
you sure it's not real? Like an algorithmic boost?
No, because all the watch time was like 30 seconds on a 20-minute video.
No, I'll give you an example of what happened to me. I put up my Busta Rhymes Extinction Level Event 2 review.
Okay.
And I put it up the same day, and it's like a 2-hour video. Now, part of how Google ranks is if it's longer, it's better. That is part of why my content was always as long as it was. I always ranked high on search because of that. So it just so happened that Google got confused. And when you typed in that fucking album name in front page Google, I was third video. I got 8,000 fucking views in like a day. My watch time is a minute. It was all organic on the algorithm being the algorithm.
So maybe that's what did happen. I didn't know that. So that might have been my video.
We can check it in your data after if you want. It's actually simple.
I never knew that, man. That's cool.
So that's part of the YouTube. So that's how you grow on YouTube a little bit. So YouTube is an algorithm growth game. So you like keyword up. So that's why my shit's going to be called Interview with KingCanada. I want to own your fucking keyword a little bit. I want people to type in KingCanada and then see my video in the middle of your shit, right?
I do that with my podcast, interview with the Godson or interview with the Chronos or, yeah, exactly.
But I didn't want to compete on Bring the Bars, so I put for Bringing Bars, right? A little bit.
Oh, you could have put Bring the Bars, man. I want more people to find you out too, because I want you to hit up more people.
Oh, no. I think that it's totally good, man. It's not even we both on this grind. We both good for life, my guy. We both okay on the same kind of net. We both playing a very similar game in different manifestations. So and I really that's it, right? That's the keyword. But on Twitch, as an example, which is where I'm going with this, it's so different. The algorithm is useless. It doesn't mean shit. It's completely like an outreach game. So what my strategy is, again, interview with KingCanada. A few of your people pop in. Shout out Siren, Suriez, whatever. Thank you. I said that wrong. I'm so sorry. Because they followed, and that's dope. So a new person jumped on it. They thought I was dope. They liked the platform, whatever. If you're we can work something out. You can offer your people my interviews. Maybe we can do something.
I have a few good guys like you. I think you'd be having a good time interviewing.
That's fresh. We'll talk about that for reals. But I want to put that into the universe because, I would love to help support you like that if we can. But, Twitch, my guy. How do we get you on Twitch?
I don't know. I didn't know nothing about the Twitch format. I've only learned, I built a Twitch account from Willie, kicking it live with Willie, from him building airing my album on a show or one of my songs beforehand, and he aired my album too, and I keep in touch with him. A fantastic guy, by the way. That's how I got on to Twitch, and then I found out about your show through Twitch, and then I got onto that, and then I know other guys like Siren Cyrezi. He has a Twitch account. He does the video game streaming on his end, but I know nothing about the platform of Twitch at all except for watching people. I don't know how to get on it. I don't know how to do anything.
It's mad simple. Logistically speaking, it is so fucking easy that you would be like, okay, this is easy peasy. You're gonna be out. Conceptually, it's radio.
Yeah, the reason mine doesn't have video is because mine is made for radio. Like, there's no video.
I'm saying
the radio.
Conceptually, how you think about Twitch is you, Mr. KingCanada. It's fucking radio. We're doing a radio show live to a lot of people with fucking webcams on.
Yeah,
and
so it's true. Yeah.
So how you think about a Twitch show, just to save yourself some time, is raw, dirty, unedited, and fucking whatever. But in the back of your mind, something you can clip and use somewhere else. So we can take this and those dirty moments, your feet, whatever. No offense, we're gonna clip that out. Chris cut out the feet. That's Chris. And it's because whatever. That's for the Twitch. That's for the behind the scenes. That's why people come to the live. And Twitch creates and fosters its own environment. Like those emotes, my guy.
Yeah,
fun as fuck. And then YouTube is like the hub. That's where you put the content after, and you play some algorithm games. And yo, shout out Chris. Chris shows up as I fucking shut him out. So like as you're like fucking you chop it up, you make some clippy poos on a second channel for clips, and it's a content hub, and that's some algorithm shit. And then social media promotes all that. So you already got parts of this puzzle unlocked, my guy. You probably honestly have the potential to be the guy to hit partner that we all piggyback off of just on what you've done if you set this up right.
Yeah, what I was planning to already do a brand, like I've been wanting to do Twitch, and I actually was going to talk to you about it, which is funny you're bringing all this up. I wanted to talk to you on a personal level on it, like after the show, but
well, we can do that for sure.
It was going to be, it wasn't going to be part of the radio. I wanted to do another show called the BTB Hangout, which has been an idea that I brought up with the group, and it's literally kind of like what we're doing now, but an uncensored. Because when I'm on radio, it's censored. You can't cuss, you can't do this and that for the radio. There's guidelines, whatever the hell they're called. I don't even remember what they're called. The people who censor stuff, but there's them on there.
FCC,
yeah.
Because the FCC won't let me be or let me.
Exactly. Or Family Guy, fuck the FCC or whatever it was. But so I wanted like an uncensored, because like I curse and I smoke weed and I drink, so I wanted it, like the hangout to be somebody can smoke a joint with me while we're shooting the shit.
That is why I told everybody I don't want to fucking do radio. People have been trying to push me to like radio, and I'm like, yo, like I could do radio. Don't get me wrong. I could do radio.
You could. Yeah, you could.
But like I do webinars at Day Job Lad. So that's like radio, only corporate demonstrations. So it's like, hi everyone, and welcome to Insert Stuff. Today we're going to talk about how to use our product. And it's so fucking clean, and it's so fucking pristine. And I have to watch all my P's and Q's to a level of effort and stuff that it doesn't like it takes the fun factor down a couple of notches for me on personal front.
The way I do with mine is mine's not live on the radio. It's recorded beforehand. So if somebody does flip up, I edit out the cuss words. I can't stop them from swearing. Some people just literally say fuck every second word they say. Like it's just how it is. So I edit it out. I clip it out. But what I find is so funny is the music I play, because I play the tracks of the guests while when I edit the show together for the radio. That can be dirty. They can be explicit lyrics, but they don't want swearing in the interview, which I find so contradictory, and I don't get it, but it's just their rules.
That's a super fascinating point. I think it's because the music is more of like the product and whatever, right? It is what it is. And like at this point in time, it sounds fucking goofy to make edited versions. Like nobody does it, so there's no fucking point. When you get to the interview, it gets into a more like personal person kind of influential type shit, right? And there's a lot of sensitive folk who listen to radio. The downside of the traffic that you get is everybody's listening to radio. So you have to kind of pander a little bit to the lowest common denominator. And I think what they're doing is that in general, it's totally okay. And really you could get away with saying fuck. But like, as I had an example recently, sometimes people take shit way too far in a live environment. Like there are certain words you can't use. And if you were to use it, I'd block you right now. Especially the LGBTQ plus stuff. Like you cannot say that on Twitch. It's like a big deal. So if people choose to not to use this language, certain people might get offended. Like there's a little 3-dot thing. You can just click on that little report thing, right? So I think when you're in a live environment, like in a conversational format, if you kind of give an inch, people may take a mile, and they're going to just opt to the side of safety because it's like unscripted. Whereas you vetted the song. You're not going to go play the song that goes too far.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
That would be my best guess if I were to be like the program director writing the rules.
Yeah, I never really understood it, but yeah, that's a good point on your end for the rules on that part for sure. But yeah, just like I said, I wanted to branch off into Twitch just to be more myself and myself with the people, because like I said, I want to crack, like a lot of this time when I do mine, compared to yours, you talked a lot about my life and my journey. You're really good at that. Mine is about the artist. It's about like what influenced like music, like about their music. I will quote their music. It's broken into segments too, because it's a radio. We have like broken into segments. I want to do more of a show of getting to know the person behind the artist, kind of like what you're doing. So that's why I would like to go the Twitch route. But I want to definitely shoot the shit with you one day about kind of getting started on Twitch.
My
For
God,
sure.
legit, half the time I do interviews, we don't, depending on who it is, you don't always jump off the call. There's just the follow-up parts to the call, depending on it. Like, come on, my God, we're in the same province. We have the same logo with the same restrictions. Actually, can we just, like, tangent on that shit? Because you, like, right next to Ottawa. What is
Yeah,
it like seeing, like, literally across a river, a whole set of rules that's mad different than your set of rules?
we're on lockdown again. Complete. I don't know where you guys are at.
Man, Montreal has not left shit since September. Okay, we've been in the worst of the worst since September, and the actual curfew since fucking December.
We got we're at 8 p.m. curfew here. Ottawa's hitting it now, but theirs is totally different. It's unbelievable. And then you look, like I said, I'm a sports fan. It's so crazy how I watch a certain sport and they have fans, and I'm just like, holy shit, I can't even go out to the freaking mall at 8 o'clock at night. And you guys have a sold out arena of 20,000 people in your fucking area. Like, it's unbelievable. And here we just hit it again. We were off lock, but we had curfew for quite a while now, but it was 9:30. We just hit back to 8 p.m. now. Um, yeah, it just hit back. My nephew who lives with us, we adopted my nephew. He's in high school and their school shut down again for 10 days, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I was just like, because man, I saw somebody from here got booked for a show in Ontario, and I'm like, hold up, they're moving curfew to 8, and you're booked for a show in Ontario?
Yeah.
Hold the front door. What is up with this? And the next man's like flexing a flyer at me, who is unrelated to it, and I'm like, y'all booking shows? Like, what? I don't know. I'm in like a weird place with it because it's like I'm still in my apartment and I've been following the rules as best as I possibly can. I may have violated a 1-2 hangout with a person, but literally people don't come here. It's me, her, and the cats. It's me, her, and the cats. And I don't even really go outside much because, we're supposed to play our part and do the thing. So it's like,
Yeah, I'm the same boat, man. I don't really see anybody like at all. Like you said, maybe the one or two people, but that was like even when the rules were lifted a little bit, and that would be like my mom or something. You know what I mean? But it's just been us here, me and my girl and the two kids and the dog and the cat, and that's what it is. But it's funny how he can go to school with a class of 30 kids, but I can't go out and see two of my friends. Like I find that absolutely ridiculous.
or that
But
week in March break when all the kids were allowed to do things and adults were not allowed to do things. And you're like,
yeah,
what?
yeah, it's so contradictory, and I don't think anybody knows what's going on. The rules change day by day. Half the time I'm like, do we have curfew now? Do we not have curfew? I'm just assuming we do. I don't even know.
For real though, my shit in Montreal, it's a definitive answer. No, you're still on lockdown, my guy, and it's
Yeah,
not gonna change. We have a lot of people here, and it just hasn't changed since
yeah.
September.
You guys are like a tourist city here. Like we hit the lockdown when it first started. The 9:30 curfew started. I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, and then it stayed at that. Then it went to an 8 p.m. Then back to 9:30 when we got out of the red zone, and now we're back in the red zone again. They closed the border between us and Ottawa at points, and now the border between us and Ottawa is open. Because Ottawa from here is like a 15-minute drive, 20-minute drive. I worked in Ottawa when I did my whole construction. I worked in Ottawa while living here because it's just cheaper living here compared to Ottawa. Like I don't know a word of French. I'm just living in the Quebec side because it's cheaper.
That's an amazing idea. I bet a lot of people are there for that exact reason.
It is, yeah. A lot, where I'm in is the town, like it's part of Gatineau, but it's like an outskirt town called Elmer of Gatineau, and it's literally right across the bridge from Ottawa, and it's almost pure English because everybody works in Ottawa, so it's crazy.
Man, that's like serious though. And oh well, Quebec will inevitably open, and we'll deal with it as it
Yeah,
comes.
eventually.
Fair enough. So basically, musically, I saw that you did this Unmasked project, which I listened to with more attention than your previous music that we've talked about that I didn't pay any attention to. So I wasn't able to really like comment on it. It was more like, okay, glitch in the matrix, and I only really listened to 2 tracks off the Global Domination one, really.
Yeah,
But Unmasked is an interesting project where you got like a whole lot of different things happening on it. And it feels like a progressive thing. I feel like I like the story arc kind of angle that you bring to it. the exploratory. I really like the last song. The name's blanking on me, but that one was a very standout. I like the completion feel that you bring to it. It's a really good project. So
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
tell us a little bit about why it's Unmasked and how that album came to be. Because at this point, Bridge the Gap's my shit. Bring the bars.
Yeah.
Is a thing.
Yeah, so it started with the global domination. That didn't show a lot of me. It showed a lot that I can rhyme with different people, hop on different styles. So what I wanted to do was, once I established that fan base from global domination, was make an album that showcased more of me, my life, my struggles, my story. So that's how Unmasked came about in the title of it. Like, I'm taking off, like I'm the guy behind social media. A lot of people didn't see me. That was just the guy behind the keyboard. And now I'm taking off the mask, and I'm going to really show everybody who I am, why I do this, and just showcase more of my personal life than I ever have before. And that was a very uncomfortable, but very lethargic step to take, that I'm very happy that I took that step, because I mentioned a lot of stuff that I don't even tell some of my friends or my closest friends about my sons and my girl and my family, that I don't.
Autism one on the Real Talk. Holy shit, Real Talk. I don't remember if that was on Unmasked or the EP, but Real Talk was.
Yeah.
I had to give it to you. That was some Real Talk.
Yeah, that one was very personal. That was on Behind the Mask. So I did Unmasked, and for people who bought it on Bandcamp, got the Behind the Mask EP for free. So it gave them incentive to not just stream it. People who stream that's not on any platform. Like, you had to buy the album to get Behind the Mask.
So that
but then I
reminds
put
me
it on
of something.
Bandcamp afterwards. Like, now it's on Bandcamp, but when Unmasked first came out, Behind the Mask wasn't anywhere except for the people who bought the album. So that was a very personal song. Yeah.
So what I thought was interesting, and somebody in the chat actually brought up something that made me trigger this thought. But a certain psychopathic artist did a very similar thing recently when they dropped a certain album and then had a rat named EP that came along with it, that if you stole like me on day one to do your review was cool, but otherwise you could only get if you copped the shit, whatever. And then months later, they leaked it and put it, well, they didn't leak it, they put it out everywhere after the fact, 2-3 months later. So, like, it's kind of like that strategy. So that's mad nifty that you kind of went in that route. And then you were able to drop it a month later, which feeds the machine, which is fucking modern as fuck. And then it makes you look hot.
Yeah, I actually started that with Global Domination. I had 2 bonus tracks. So if you bought the album, the only way you can get these 2 bonus tracks was if you bought the album. And one was with Stevie Stone, another one was with another Bring the Bars artist. So with Unmasked, I was like, I'll take it a step further, because Behind the Mask is the mixture of songs I wrote. Even when you went through it, I don't know if you would remember the titles, but there's a couple of songs in there I wrote like 6 years ago. Remember when I said I wasn't recording anymore, but I was still writing? Those were a couple of those songs. So it was a mixture of kind of like unreleased, remixed, or new music. It was kind of a branch off of all of it. So that's how the Behind the Mask EP came about. And I had enough. I think it was 6 tracks. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 6.
No, it's 6. I just pulled it up because I have it like. Anyway, that's bad bless. But because you know what's interesting about your strategy is that you built up this fan base first. You put in all this work, you collected the people, then your Bandcamp became a lucrative thing.
Yeah. Like when I put Glitch in the Matrix, I didn't have that fan base. So I put it on Bandcamp, but like it didn't really go anywhere compared to when I put Global Domination and Unmasked. So that went somewhere. And then it actually only has been recently that I got onto Spotify. Like, I didn't even go that route for a while either. Like, I'm still learning. Like, a lot of this has been in the last 2 years, big time the last year during the pandemic is what pushed all this, because I finally had time to put 100% effort into all of it. So the pandemic, in a way, was not wanting to downplay it for everybody who went through the problems, but for me, a blessing in a way to put my time into this that I've never had before, to put in 100%.
I like that. I definitely leveraged some time gain on the pandemic to push it forward myself. Spotify is cool. I'm glad you're there because, man, if you're not on Spotify, it's like I'm not going to listen to it. I know that's like a callous way to put it to a lot of people, but it's like I spent $15 because we got that shared plan, the shits, which is a dope way to get two of you to double up on your making your money back. And it's just dope. Like, it's the best interface. It's the easiest shit for me to listen to music
So
on.
awesome, yeah.
And DistroKid is too fucking cheap for me to be like, I'm like, come on, my guys. Like, if you own your fucking licensing and you can release that shit,
Yeah.
to me, it's like, let me
And
listen
even
to
if
your
you didn't
music.
want to go through DistroKid, there's some that will do it for free and even take a little percentage. So if you wanted to even go that route, but I use DistroKid myself, and it's funny because I pushed so hard for many years on my YouTube channel, you know, get it to 1,000 subscribers and a certain amount of views to monetize the YouTube channel. Because like I said, I'm still learning. This has all
Your
been
money's trash, my guy.
learned to, and now I do freaking Spotify, and I made more than I ever did on my 2 years of pushing my YouTube channel in the span of under a year.
Yo, for real though, with the YouTube thing, if I were to run up all the ad money I made on every song I put on YouTube and compare it to what I made on Spotify, Spotify crushes YouTube.
Yeah,
Twitch
100%.
crushes YouTube.
Yeah.
Twitch, oh my gosh, I don't know why, but this man's the other day popped in and donated like fucking $40, and I don't know why. I didn't do anything. I just went live, and he did that, and I'm like, that's the most weird thing ever to me. That's not gonna happen on YouTube. But like, I got that 8,000 views, right? That shit was monetized, so it gave me like a taste of what like real view to money conversion is, and my like fucking rate is good, as in I'm on the high end of what you get paid on YouTube according to what I've seen on the internet. It was $25 for 8,000 views, and I'm like, what? You know, like when you really think about it,
Yeah.
8,000 views is $25. That's it.
Yeah, and I spent so much time pushing that, but I'm still happy I did because it built that initial fan base.
YouTube's what we're
I
doing.
go to Spotify, and now I'm promoting. Like, I kind of not ditched my YouTube channel, but I don't pump it out as much as I used to. I have my KingCanada YouTube channel, but I'm more promoting the Bring the Bars channel over anything on YouTube than I am with my music. I push it on Spotify.
Oh, let me be clear. I don't even know what the last time I touched my music channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
Fuck, that shit's just ghost town. But I do make like $20 to $30 a month on fucking YouTube. So like every 5 months I get a little payout, and I'm telling you, when that happens, I'm like, yes.
Little extra cash, yeah.
It is like an endeavor worth pursuing, but like people need to manage their expectations on this money shit.
Yeah.
Like, you will make
a platform most people use. Not everybody has Spotify or uses Spotify still to this day, so I would show them towards my YouTube channel. So it's definitely still a platform a lot of people use.
Yeah, but like if you look at the music side of things, for music videos, like you got a point, but like people watch your music video like twice, then they'll bump your song. I mean, sure, in certain age demographics, like with really younger people, it might be a completely different experience. And yes, there are some countries that don't have Spotify, but they are in 170 countries. So like, it's not like let's be real, most markets that you were ever going to tap into have Spotify, most markets. And then if they don't, you're probably on Deezer and all the other shit that exists in those things. I looked up how to get into the Indian market. It's more complicated than you'd think, and I don't know how much I want to touch the Chinese market. But like, the reality is, like, being a Bandcamp makes sense, but YouTube is more of like it's a good place to host your music, and for sure you should have it there. But
I'll get on as many platforms as you can. You take advantage of every platform is the way I look at it.
So like
I don't go listen to Apple Music, but I'm on it and I'm getting stuff from Apple Music. I got promotions on Apple Music. The one I use, like, I don't use Tidal, but I'm on there. People I've gotten streams through Tidal. I know they pay more and stuff. I just know more about Spotify that I push that.
But even let's talk on that pay more on Tidal. That is one of the biggest misconception craps I ever heard in my damn life. So Tidal has like a pop. But both of these things have a market share of like this. Literally, we're talking like 2%, 1% market share, meaning total population of users who pay and subscribe to this platform, thus turn into monetized views for you, is like astronomically small. So when you're on this platform, you maybe get the one guy who's going to repeat your shit Like,
Yeah.
you're competing against fucking celebrities and shit, just like
Yeah.
everywhere else. But if you go to a volume game, 80% of the market has Apple Music or Spotify.
Yeah.
80% of the market. That is like a fuck ton of people. You can almost safely bet that everybody you know has like one of those two things if they're paying for a service or using a service. That's like a safe bet. Maybe it's something different. You could argue there are a few other contenders, but that means that if you're on one of those platforms, both of them, because you're going to be on both, then you're also on fucking Amazon at the same time because you're being distributed there. You're on all this stuff, which means whatever you're on, the smart voice things that everybody's using can play you. That's another thing people don't necessarily take into consideration is that the future, I haven't even talked about this ever on this show, is the future is voice, right? As in you go, okay, keyword, I don't want to trigger my phone, and then you give a little commandy poo, or you go Siri, or you say this thing. If you're not in that thing, they can't even play you with voice command. Because, like, frankly, the number of people who plugged YouTube Premium is astronomically tiny, right? So in a sense, you're almost shooting yourself in the foot for the future to not be where everybody's going to be. However, from a monetization point of view, if you pay for Spotify and you happen to be a premium user, you know you can just run your own fucking song when you sleep and pay for Spotify. As in, you can make $15 a month spinning your own damn song. I've been spinning my own damn song this whole interview. Just on loop, man. It's just playing. And yo, straight up, there are 3 of us all day been at it. A couple more people popped in and out. We dropped the song today, and we ran it to 879. And what? Is it real? Fake? It's real. I'm going to get paid $3 soon off of that shit. That's real to me.
That's why Spotify stream teams, too, man. If you got 24-hour stream teams, like you got, like,
that's what I'm trying.
I'm running one right now while I'm talking to you, and it's 24 hours. They're streaming my stuff, and I'm getting, like so many in just one day. Like, it's, you know, and like you said, you get paid for it. So like I have my fans and I know I have my stream team, but the stream team is kind of like my income. And I also use, if people don't know, Spotify, if you go on computer, there's no limitations on, you can skip as much as you want. You can select songs if you use the desktop version of Spotify. Yeah.
Like for free
Spotify. Spotify.com and you use the desktop version, you don't have to randomize, and you have unlimited skips. You can click songs. You don't have to pay for premium.
Yo, for me,
I use it on computer all the time.
So the big metric that I think people care about is monthly listeners. And the one that I'm struggling with in general is trying to convince other
the big one.
No, followers is whatever. That's algorithm games. But vanity metrics, streams don't matter. Monthly listeners matter. Yo, having 50,000 fucking streams and like 42 monthly listeners feels fucking weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, you were hot. That's what I learned. You're not hot. So, to me, the way to really manage the stream team, if I could do what I want, yo, we would have the most implausibly large and nobody gives a fuck about it playlist except the people on it. And then everybody has the obligation of running that playlist in full once a month. And there's 1,000 people on that motherfucker. 1,000 names. This is my dream. Everybody gets 1,000 monthly listeners off that motherfucker.
1,000 streams.
And if you have, but the streams don't matter because the streams are fickle and pointless, and like I said, they're vanity. But the monthly listeners means that looks like 1,000 people fuck with you right now, and I promise you that could lead to sponsorship monies and shit on some fake shit.
It could, but Spotify also, remember, what was it, a year ago? They cracked down on a lot of that. If you're getting 50,000 streams and have 50 followers, they get a little sketchy on that and they shut down your account.
Okay,
they shut
so
down
all 1,000 of us follow each other. Fine.
Yeah, you need followers because they did that with their algorithm. They shut a lot of people down last year. That was from people buying the views, though.
That's a terms of service violation, though.
20 followers. It's like, hey, something's not adding up.
So what I'm proposing is not a terms of service violation, though, because that's rigging.
It's a stream team. Yeah, it's a stream team. You all do it together.
It's a larger scale one, and you'll never get the view counts to trigger the shit because it's logistically impossible. Like, each individual song's going to get one from each person, whatever. It's not a lot of actual views.
That's a good way of doing it, yeah.
But what happens is is when you hit like 750 monthly followers, you as an artist start flexing that shit, and now other organic people are going to be more attracted to it because, yo, what's this buzz coming on? You put up that chart where you show your monthly followers hyping up and be like, yo, now I got to go click on it. And if we all larger scale did it, because, yo, it's not going to work with 50, but you all of a sudden have 1,237 monthly followers, you look like you're a whole tier maybe above what you're at. Why does this matter? One time I sent my shit to a person. This is a regular civilian. And she said, you only have 100 views? And I'm like, yo, first of all. But then I realized that's actually an interesting point. Maybe regular people care about that.
They do, man. They'll only start fucking with you once, sad to say, once you're famous. Like, once you're blowing up. And then they'll be the ones who claim they followed you from the start, which is absolute bullshit. But
if they give me money, my guy, I don't fucking care. Claim what you want.
That's the way I look at it. But yeah, for sure. And like, stream teams are good because I've been a couple, and you have to stream every day though, and you stream the playlist once a day, and there's, let's say, 30 people. It's not much, but that's 30 listeners, 30 people a day that stream. So 30, like, you get it a day for a month. That's another 30 days. I'm comfortable on that, dude, but that's a good chunk. And then you get paid for that. And a lot of these people that I found, I've gotten followers, and they actually listen to the playlist. And I had people reach out like, do you want to collaborate? I listened to the playlist. I saw your song. So for me, it's a way to go, getting on stream team playlists. Dude, that's why I love Spotify over YouTube. You have to hit like individuals out on like YouTube. Like, can you check it out? Can you check it out? Spotify, you get it on a hip hop playlist, and then boom, everything like changes on that one song in the span of freaking minutes.
That's an interesting point too. I don't know. I have like an elaborate scheme in my head, but it would be very hard to. My problem is enforcement, because you'd never be able to prove shit like who didn't listen.
It's true, yeah.
And then it's like at the scope I want to do, not everybody's gonna listen, and it's like, but like, I just think it's cool how you leverage that, how you're willing to do that, because that's not like violation. It's like clever guerrilla marketing. They're not the same thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is.
Like, yo, you know what's? Have you ever looked at the compare artist tool in Spotify?
No, I don't think so.
So they gave access. I don't even know how long it's been there, but they have this thing that lets you compare artists. So there's a couple of people that I know I paid for Facebook ads recently. So out of curiosity, I loaded up their profiles and I looked at their their daily listeners, because you can look at everything: streams, listeners, follows. And so I looked at the numbers and I'm like, yo, this looks like you spent a lot of money and got nothing. Because you see this little peak, and then it just flat lines.
Yeah.
Flat lines, like back to the 1-2 I get a day. And I'm like, wow, that's nifty. Like, what does it mean? Does it mean it's worth it? Maybe it's like hot on Apple Music and I don't see the Apple Music comparison. Fine. But you would argue that if it was hot there, it would be hot on both, Like, it's not like you're going to pop on one and be completely boring on the other. That's not how usually this shit works.
I don't know. Like, I don't even have like I have my Apple profile set up like Apple for Artists, kind of like with Spotify, but I never look at it because I just don't use Apple. And I don't even share my Apple link. So I just share the Spotify. So I expect to get more on Spotify than I do on Apple. Just because of what I'm showing everybody. Like, it's just the ones they see, they click on it. And it's so easy on Facebook. You click the link, you're there. Instead of going in on Apple, typing KingCanada, you know what I mean?
I guess I looked at it from a perspective of, say you legitimately were pulling like 30,000 fucking views a month or whatever. You would have on both platforms.
Yeah, you would, yeah. Because that's your fan base right there. So,
There's no way that everybody's just using fucking Spotify. Like, Apple's done a lot lately to gain some ground, as they call it. What do you think about virtual reality and how it fits into the big picture?
What do you mean? Like, what do you define as virtual reality?
Like a fucking Oculus headset, you busting rhymes.
I've never dove into that or thought about it, honestly. My nephew had a VR headset for the PlayStation 4. I never used it. It made me queasy. I'm not I don't know. I never really thought of that, to be honest with you. I couldn't answer that question.
That's a very legitimate answer. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what impact that has on music or like what you can do with the VR. I don't know.
Basically, you can do what we're doing now with avatars in a different way.
It'd be a medium I'd be willing to get on, but I wouldn't myself personally put on a VR headset to think of music or artist or a podcast. That's not how I would think of playing a game, right? Like I wouldn't think of it as that. I could see it growing to that medium 100%.
So like these dudes threw a hip hop show in virtual reality. Rascast was like the main guy that did it. So I met the dude who like hosted the show. I have to actually pop into VR one day and check it out. I keep forgetting. But there's this thing called All Space VR. It's created by Microsoft. It's a bunch of spaces. It's been literally growing the last year. Their big claim to fame is more stand-up comedy, which is easy, and DJ shit. So clubbing in VR is it good? No. Is it better than your room? Hells yeah.
Yeah, man. This is something you're opening my eyes to. Like I said, I never dove into it or learned about it. So if I could like, put on the headset and see a concert, would I do it? Absolutely, yeah. But was it something I would have thought of to do? No, until you told me about it now. But
Coachella.
Now I'd want to actually kind of see it. Now I'm interested.
Coachella and all that shit. Like my mom, I got her the shitty one, and she watches Habs games. Or she tried to, but her thing would die. But like you get like a seat. Like you're at the Bell Center and it's near one of the nets, and then you're kind of like there, and everyone is watching on a 360 camera.
So I did that with a wrestling show, like when the VR first came out. My nephew hooked up a wrestling show to it. I put it on like that. That was pretty cool, actually. But I just, I don't know. I'm not an old head or anything. I just never really explored that medium.
It's really like new shit. I'm just like kind of nerdy like that, so I get real deep into this tech shit. I think it's the future, and I don't think it's fully. I think there's a hybrid model of like Twitch meets real life meets virtual reality meets augmented reality that blends into this fucking crazy Star Trek shit. But so what's coming next for you with regards to your music? Like I know you dropped the thing in March, which is cool because you're keeping this alive. Are you dropping stuff in April?
Right now I'm doing a collaboration EP with Otis Isaac. We're doing an EP called Faded Bars. So that's going to be coming out probably next month. We have a few singles dropped. Lower My Head, we dropped that. We had another single. I don't even remember what the other single we dropped. Oh, Applause, and it featured Kronos. So that's coming. That's a collaboration EP. And at that point, I also started BTB Records. So it's me, Otis, Siren Cyrezi, and Kofa 811 are the artists on it. And they're all signed to me. We have contracts written up and stuff. I'm focusing on their debut album releases more than mine, but Global Domination 2 is in the works, and Faded Bars collaboration EP with Otis Isaacs is coming real soon.
So effectively what we've learned is you went from an 8-year-old playing keyboard rock songs to a record label owner, internet mogul, tycoon, media man, rapping guy.
Apparently, man.
A family man.
And yeah, that's definitely what defines my life for sure, is the family. But when you put it like that, man, and people ask me about my story, how even Bring the Bar started, it's like, it's crazy how it started as Global Domination, a collaboration album, to this group on Facebook, to a podcast, to a radio show, to a label. Like, it's just evolved unbelievably, and it keeps evolving every day. Like, I'm doing cross promotions with another label, Lost Voice Music. Shout out to all them, and it's unbelievable. I can't believe it myself.
You're 30? You're 29 or 30? Yeah,
I'm 30. I'm about to be 31.
I'm like, nah, I know his age, because you were my brother's age within 3 months apparently. So I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I don't remember what you said. I think you said 90 or something or whatever. So you gave me a cue about what grade you were in at what year, and I'm like, okay, I know how old he is.
Yeah, I'm saying like 9 years old, listening to hip hop in '99. So yeah, 30. I'm turning 51 in July. So yeah,
that's fresh, man.
By the way, I don't even know how old you are.
I'm 33.
Okay.
So yeah, my brother was that. So it's like talking to my little brother in terms of age gap. I like you more than my little brother. He's a little shithead. That's fine. We're cool. Whatever. I don't know if you ever watch this. He's cool.
One of my family.
my brother linked me with Chris Chrome, And that was probably one of the most advantageous things to happen in my life in a long time, because that dude has been there for like you don't find people like him very often in life. Like you just don't. Like those people that just like are down to ride even if they don't understand.
Yeah. And the interview is coming out of me right now. I want to flip it on you a little bit. Is how did you and Willie link up?
Oh, all right, I'll tell you the truth on this one. I know Willie might be watching. So I'm sitting there in 2019 going, fuck everybody, nobody fucking with my shit in my head, because I'm a bit of a hater still. I'm on my transition to being more community oriented at that point, but still feeling myself and shit. And then I see Willie got somebody of note. It was one of the G-Unit guys, and he hosted the shows. And I saw Willie was hosting all these shows. So I sent Willie, he posted this shit that has Shiesta God on it. And I think I had just interviewed Shiesta God. So I sent Willie my shit. I'm like, I want to rap on your shit. And then Willie fucking ghosted me. Didn't even fucking talk to me back one time. Didn't say shit. I'm like, oh, that's how it is, my guy. And then I was so salty for a minute because Willie, and it's cool, man, because Willie's my boy now. So it's like, it happened like that. And then COVID kicks in. And then all of a sudden, there's this Kicking It Live with Willie show. And I see that coming on. And I'm already, like, fascinated by internet. I'm already doing my interview thing at this point, et cetera, et cetera. Not successfully. It isn't working yet. I'm still in the motherfuckers don't want to show up yet part because COVID was a gift, in my opinion. Not like I want to say it like that, but, like, it worked out really well for, like, people being willing to jump on Zoom calls and shit. Like, that was helpful. But I see Willie's doing Kicking It Live, and he says something about sending your new music, and I put out my track Behind That Suit, which was the first song off of my album, the Alabama Quebec Connect, which came out last year. And for me, it was a big deal. I was like trying out some shit. I tried to rap slower, more like paced, and what I think that's one of my best songs. Honestly, I fucking love it. But it was also my mission statement. Like, I fucking even rapped about virtual reality and shot part of the music video. It was all shot in my room using all the technology here. And it was almost like a behind the scenes of how I literally make shit, you know, like just me rapping in cameras, Instagram lives, all of that shit. OBS, you see all of it in the video if you're looking for it. And including was a VR shot. And so I turned that into a little pitch to be like, yo, you care about VR? Check this music video. Look at that part right before the chorus. I don't even give a fuck if you watch the song. But, like, it was true. I really don't care if people watch the song. It's just I needed a way to show people that fucking virtual reality was an interesting thing that could be, like, a viable thing for hip-hop. And this technology existed and nobody wanted to fuck with me with it, whatever. I'm still, like... I adapted. Parts of me still have salt. But then, like, I put out the track, and then I sent it to Willie. And because he's doing his Kicking It Live, send me your shit. Crazy Ace has rapped 1,000,000 days in a row, all this other shit. And then he plays my song, and he gives me the most interesting comment I think anybody has ever fucking said about anything I've done. I don't know if I like this, but I think hip-hop needs some shit like this. I'm like, wow. That was big, right? Like, people don't, like, really listen like that or see what I'm trying to do with my shit. And Willie seemed to see what I was trying to do with my shit, even though he snubbed me 6 months earlier. That's all fine, because in the future, Willie went and did that, and then whatever, I stayed in Willie's songs. Willie's audience does not like my fucking music. They do not react. They sit there and they don't fucking comment. They weren't putting any react shit, and he played me anyway. The fucking night where he featured my album, like, nobody hearted it or anything. Nobody gave a fuck. Willie played it anyway. He's fucking G about it. I respected that. I don't know. It's cool. Willie's audience doesn't have to fuck with me like that. Like other people fuck with me, you know? Like, it's cool. But Willie plays it anyway, and I like that, and I respect him so much for that. But then over time, it's like he came and did the interview in July, June. So, like, Willie is one of the few people that can actually say some shit like, yo, I fucking went and did that shit before it was hot, and I'll co-sign it. There's very few people that get that. Everyone else, you did it after it was hot, in my opinion. And that's like the truth of it. You saw I was doing it. Willie came through before that, so I respected that shit for a quick minute. And then we just talked more, and then he was like, I'll send you some things if you sign up on my tribe. And so I was like, fuck it, I'll support the guy. That week, Bonnie, my girlfriend, had made me feel guilty about not supporting indigenous communities in any way. And I was like, I don't fucking like charity, but like I can support Willie, and that consciously hit me in a way that like I felt was there. So I still pay for the fucking tribe, even though I don't want to. No offense, Willie, because it's like ethically, it makes me feel like I'm contributing in some way, and I'd rather give it to Willie than like fucking random motherfuckers. And I'm not even saying that to floss. I just think people here should give to the indigenous communities a little bit more. But like on that, and then yeah, so I talked to him more, and then I won weed on his show. But no, mostly I talked to him more, and then time went on, and then he put me on his Kicking It Live fucking cipher song thing, and I don't know, time just went on, and I talked to him more, and now Willie and I are in a fucking rap group called Verbal Gymnasts.
Dope story. Like I couldn't even tell you how. I don't even know how I ran into him. I think because of his show, I got this interview with you, though. I think that's how that
was
worked.
Ismail's fault. That's all Ismail. Ismail fucking does things. He interferes, and he knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. He's putting me on the spot, and so I have to react in certain ways, and he knows what he's doing. I know what you're doing, Ismail.
Yeah, you played my album on Kicking It Live, and then the next day, I think you hit me up. Like, people are requesting an interview.
I hit you up that same fucking time because Ismail said, when is he getting the interview?
Like, well, thank you, Ismail. Shout out, man. Thank you.
And I'm like, fuck my life. I should probably do that. And that's what happens. And then I hit you up, and then we booked it. And then that was the story of how this interview came to be. So Willie played it, and then Ismail did his thing. Yeah, Ismail's pretty gangster about it, though. He, like, fucking hustles. He's, like, trying to get... He's like, you know what? I want to see Holden talk to this person. I don't actually care if Holden wants to. I'm going to go talk to that person. And I'm like, wow, that's the coolest shit in the world. Yeah. And then I think, yeah, Willie and I found
Willie found me through BTB. Did I ask you to join, or did you just find BTB off the side for Willie? I'm just curious how he found BTB. I'm always curious, like, because a lot of people I didn't hit, so hit up. So I was just wondering.
I know you straight up solicited me.
He found it. Okay, cool.
Now I remember it. Like, I was, because you were so like cordial about it, and you had like this elegant approach, and you were like feeling out if I was interested, and I'm like, okay, I'm curious. But
you were bluntly honest from what I remember too. You're like, I'm have a lot of time on this. I probably won't be active in your group, but I will join it. Because you told me, like, I'm not gonna post, I'm not gonna share, I'm not, like, you were so honest about it. And I was like,
I'm like,
hey man, you're being dead honest about it. You can
at the time, oh my gosh, dude, it's like, I don't know what it is, but like, first it stopped, maybe because people think I'm a hater or something, which is great because it stopped, honestly. But like, I was getting hit up by like Joe Blow Schmo and Red Guy Pink Purple Person thing. Like, I don't even know who these fucking people are. They're sending me fucking links. Somebody literally sent me a message that was, you should go YouTube me. I'm like, bro. And then, so I did. I sent him a screenshot, and I'm like, which one are you? You should probably send a link. And this guy got salty with me. I don't know. So I started posting, like, don't fucking bother me posts, because, like, unlike you, like, I'm up in my DMs, like, I don't really want you hitting me up like that. Unless I know you like that. And if you do, be like, yo, I saw your interviews. I want one. Booked. Don't be giving me your damn links. Like, you want me to listen to your music for real, get an interview. Because, like, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, I have to focus on 3 people's music. Plus, I might do an album review. That's a 4th thing. Like, yo, what bandwidth do I have to, like, honestly, unfortunately, play the game you're playing? I'm doing a different version of your game where I just go talk to everybody.
And like I said, with you being honest, when I sent you, I think I told you about the Unmasked album, you told me straight up, like, I don't have the time to check this out. Honestly, I probably won't get around to it unless I interview you, because that's when I check out the music. And luckily, you heard some of it on Willie, on Kicking It Live with Willie. But you told me straight up, like, odds of me clicking it and going through it are pretty slim to none unless I'm studying to interview you or I hear it on Kicking It Live, which thankfully you did. But you're just honest about it, man. I think what struck me about you, me being an honest person too, and you just doing it your way, and you didn't bullshit, like wanting to get that radio play or something, saying, oh, I'll play by the rules, and then you never do. You just told me straight up, this is how I do my thing, and you can still chat with me if you want to. If not, fuck you. I don't really care. Like,
wow, come on,
you didn't say it like that, but like
that bad.
but you
No, but
just
I
you're
get like
doing it
fucking
being like,
anxiety with this shit. Like I'm being real. I get anxious on this shit, man. Artists are like, okay, look, I consider like Spotify links dick pics at this point. Unless I
yeah,
give you fucking consent, like, yo, I don't really know that I don't want to give you feedback on your music. You don't want my honesty. I promise you do not want my opinion on your music, 90% of you. And like, I'm just saying it, like the truth of it. Like, I don't mind like saying what I like about stuff, but like, don't ask me for feedback. I don't like doing it. You don't really want it. Like we ain't cool like that. If you don't know me, like don't. I'm not gonna say I like it like that. I'm gonna probably tell you some shit you don't want to hear on some marketing principles. Like I'm sorry, my guy, you don't stand out to me, and that
yeah,
fucks people up, man. They don't like it. But then there's the other side where it's like, why are you just you? What do you like? We're not friends. I don't know you. People hit me up and they don't even say hi, and then I'm like, that's what dick pics must be like. This shit's
yeah.
dick pics. This is what dudes do to girls. I'm like, man, it must suck to be a girl sometimes.
Yeah, what I do with mine, because like you said, I get hit up constantly on my YouTube with somebody literally just sending the link. That's it. So my response is join, bring the bars, drop your link there, and I might hear it. This is my
Ooh,
only response to it now. Like I don't
that's a good
follow
move now.
anything messaging to me, and you can join. But that's also how the group's kind of overblown now to where I had to start the private group because the other one's kind of like a testing ground and to show if
Yeah.
like you deserve that radio play, if you deserve for me to give you the time of day, really. But I'm eyeing down the original group constantly to find out those people, and I do check out a lot of music. Like a lot of my day entails is my business, how I'm running it is like when you said getting global domination together, how much time does it take? It takes a listening to a lot of music. I come by a lot of great, come by a lot of good, and I come by a lot of bad.
Mm.
But a lot of my day entails, and if it doesn't catch my attention, I will not listen to the whole song. I'm just that way. But if I like it, I like it, the beat drop or something happens, I will listen to the whole thing. But my business entails a lot of listening to music, man, constantly, and I
Yeah,
love
but
it.
like that's the thing is I went through this whole process of album reviews before this where maybe people don't know that, right? So they hit me up thinking I'm Joe Blow Schmo or whatever, but I'm like, yo, I listen to like 450 maybe albums with this like critical mindset, gems of all genres, shit that were like honestly people need some fucking perspective. Like why like here's the thing, the music may be good, but it's the expectations that come around the talent behind an individual sound. Like I'm gonna drop this track and it's gonna be it. Or like, yo, this is the best thing ever. I'm better than all these other people. I'm like, are you though? I've literally heard like 400 Montreal artists at this point in terms of their sound. I'm like, do you really know how many people are in the city and what they all sound like? Are you really the best of this area? Did you know I live in your area? Did you know that I might think I'm better than you? That's actually
Yeah,
happened a few times. Yo, there's nothing like when somebody tells me they're the best person in NDG, and I'm like, all right, my guy. And not to say that you might not be. There is a couple people that could probably make that claim, and I might be like, all right, I'll give it to them. But not most of them, you know? Like, so it's like there's this weird attitude where it's like, yo, you dropped a song, so it's a big deal.
everybody thinks they're the shit. Like if you drop a song, you're the greatest thing ever, and you have to have that mindset though at the same time. But to get everybody to try to agree with you, thinking that you are the shit, be ready for some criticism or some hate because, like I said, I've heard a lot of bad, man, and all these people will still say like, "Yo, I'm the greatest thing ever," and I've heard some bad.
All I know is I'm about to pull 1,000 spins on a day on a song I didn't even mix and master. Which I'm fucking having fun with life. Yo, that to me, it's a game now. It's not even about that. Like, for one thing, people need to get past this commodity thing. Like, yo, you're not selling records. You know how I know? Because the famous people are selling 60. Yo, you
Yeah.
ever looked at the raw sales? It goes from like 100K, 16K,
Remember when people used to go
2K.
platinum in a week and in like under a week? That's impossible now. Like no one's even hitting like when you'd hit like Little Wayne and Eminem hitting 1 million sales in a week. Oh my God. If you get 100K now in a week, you're considered like God.
So it's like, all right, nobody's selling shit. We take the streaming economy and like, look, there are ways to make that work for you, but it's not like your one song is gonna do that. It's actually more the volume of a lot of songs that does this
Yeah.
effectively. And then you also got to remember 16-year-olds are in the game. What, you think the
Yeah.
16-year-old is bad? That's a mistake to think the 16-year-old. I have not met a person under 20 I thought was a bad artist. Because you know what they're not doing? They're not calling themselves hip-hop. They're just making music and shit. But they're competing for
Yeah.
the same audience who also doesn't give a fuck what genre you're in.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I
So
play
I'm,
both sides. I'm doing the record sales
yo,
and
I love
also
that shit.
playing the algorithm of Spotify. Like I'm playing the game, man. I'm playing it in every aspect that
Love it.
you can play it, and you're doing the same thing. It's just,
But you and I
well,
are
why not?
actually,
Like,
I
how can
think,
you not do it?
but it's more like that. Let's be real. My bigger play is not getting views. It's not like any of the more immediate goals.
Making money.
Nah, it's bigger than that. This game is a network relationship game, as you pointed out. I'm
Yeah.
trying to meet enough people that are interesting that one day they go, you know who'd be good for this? And it's me, because I happen to be the one that's good for this. That doesn't happen if you don't meet people. If you're not able to be out there, you're not able to create those networks and shit. Like, let's be real. Having Willie, like, they're kind of moved in a direction, meeting these different people. Everything kind of leads to things, right? Like, this moment wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for all this networking. So it's like, cool. I mean, I could get views and money now, or I could build an empire and in 10 years be a millionaire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's building it all up. You're playing every aspect of the game. You're not sticking to one. It's it's like what, like one thing I said, like this is so much more than creating the song and dropping it. It's business, and that's something I took me a while to learn, that the business aspect of it 100%. And I was
Nah,
reading
man.
one there from Ismail. I don't like many artists' music on the show, but they still have a lot of cool things to say. I hope I'm on both categories. You like my music and I had cool things to say.
Nah, you have good music. I like the last song you did, the one with the guitars, and you added some auto tune or some shit or whatever. It felt like you sauced it up a little bit on your vocal effects, and I was like, my favorite shit you did. I was like, that's it. That's when I
I was
fucking
tuning in and out when you were doing the pre-run before you brought me on. I was doing my stuff that I had you running in the background, and there's a couple, like I really felt that you really felt the really that kind of style, the slower, broken down, crisp
well,
vocals.
it's more.
Saying a lot of my stuff, and I appreciate all the kind words you did say. From what I heard, I didn't check out your whole pre-show, but
Nah, I mean, your other
it.
stuff is like real dope in the sense that it's technically proficient, but I don't know, man. I also grew up listening to strange music and all that shit. And it's like 10 years of chopping. It's like, yo, man, almost every white dude in this country does it. So it's like, okay, that's actually really. And you know what the truth is? It's so easy to hide shit when you're going fast. And that's why most of us do it, because we can't go slow. So when you were able to go slower and fit a pocket like that, it showed you really can rap type thing. Whereas,
Thanks.
honestly, it's not hard to like go as fast as fucking possible and stuff that in and call that a bar or rhythm or whatever. It's
It's
like,
hard to do it while saying something, which is something I learned growing. When I use the chopper flow, I still like to use it because it's fun for me. Is I'm making sure it's not just a bunch of nonsense words that rhyme together. It's still part of the story. Like on a couple of my songs, like "Lower My Breath" till "Lower My Head" till my last breath. I start off slow, I pick it up, and I do the fast speed, but it's continuing the story compared to certain songs I have done where it kind of is just bullshit showing off I can rhyme and rap fast. So that's kind of what my Glitch in the Matrix album was like. It was just like there was no substance behind it.
but even at a substance level, it's like all the tricks possibly done with this fast shit has been saturated for like a decade. So like literally you're going against Eminem in my head. You can't
Yeah.
control that. But
But
that's what
Eminem wasn't
Eminem's
always
do.
categorized as fast until recently. I found this rap god. He was not. It was more the Tech Nine lane and Twisted Insane. Like he
Big
didn't. I
facts.
never categorized Eminem as
And
a
I'll give it
fast
to you,
chopper
man.
rapper.
Back then it was the golden era for that shit. But
Mm-hmm.
like that's when Yella came out proper. But like
Yeah.
what really but then like the thing is like now it's like I can't help it. I have got like if I really want a fast song, there's just so many options from so many people. But like when you get into that mood music, I don't care if I heard the vibe before. And I feel like that's what the slower, more vibey shit does is it's mood music. So like
Mm.
yo, that like you basically wrote a Lil Peep song in your delivery, and I fucked with it so heavy because I love Lil Peep's expressiveness. You may not like that comparison, but it's a great one because it's so, to me, it's like a high praise. Like I was like, yo, fuck that. I'm gonna listen to that one for real if it ever shows up on Spotify. It might be actually. I didn't check.
What song was that?
The one that, hold on, I'm gonna tell you. It's the one you do with Otis, the Lower My Head.
Oh yeah, that is on Spotify. That's my biggest
Yo,
hit on Spotify.
fuck
Actually.
that. I'm gonna fucking hit that shit. Yo, dude, it's such a
love that
bop
song.
though. But yo, it's got hooks, real like flow to it. You're right in the pocket. Like everything about it at a musicology level to me sounds like better. Just like at
I
a
love
music
that
level.
song, man. I'm excited for that whole EP. So
And I don't mean it to say your other stuff is worse. And it's
no,
not
I
like
know. I exactly mean
and,
that's
and,
like
and I know
over
a
others.
lot of
I'll never take it as that.
And I know a lot of people love that shit. Why? Because it's the hottest shit for 16 and 22-year-olds. And that's the truth. It's like a youth market thing. It's kind of like why punk rock is hottest in that era. Speed, intensity, blabbity, blabbity.
Yeah.
But yo, I've written so many songs where I tried to fuck with that shit. And I've like memorized so many songs. It's like, okay. Drake's dope, though. I listen to Drake songs on repeat in a way that they don't get old. Why is it that the Tech Nine songs didn't age well? Why is it that they know, it's still a good hook today, but like half that chopper shit doesn't age well. So like, yo, that's kind of nifty to me, right? I think that's the biggest thing that hit me is I couldn't give a fuck about half the tracks I listened to 10 years ago, except for like LMFAO's couple bangers and shit. And that's weird. Why are these the songs that are sticking with me 10 years later?
That's why I'm going to say we're a little different on our music taste because you really go, and I can feel from you, even with your questions, the vibe of the music. And I go for the lyric aspect of the music. I'm not really tuning into the production or the flow. And I'm in the minority of this too. This is not like everybody thinks this way. I'm very into the lyric aspect and having a story to tell. So and that's what with strange music, like with the Tech Nine and stuff, is that he doesn't, in all honesty, have a lot of songs are just fast rap that don't really have anything to say. So I'm not huge fans of that. Huge fan of that, but I'm not a massive fan of Drake either because I kind of got tired of the whole I got money, I got cars, that whiny flow.
Like, so you're like real talk song. You said some shit, in my opinion. I was like real from the heart.
That's my kind of, yeah.
But like 9 times out of 10, when people think people are saying stuff, y'all think people are saying stuff. I'm like, that's some vapid, boring bullshit that I heard a million times before from 1,000 other rappers. And so it doesn't sound like it. And if it's really that's what most music comes off like the content-wise, oh man, I'm harsh. I heard A Say Alone's a book of human language, yo. I heard some great fucking music where it's like, yo, y'all are like, there's this attitude where like people think that there's this extra level of substance. But you know what I also like? I like rock music, where like 7 words is considered better writing and shit. So oftentimes I think what happened to me on the journey, it's not that I like the vibe more. Yo, bars matter. Go listen to my words. I try very carefully to like pick the right words. Yeah. Even if I'm not trying, I'm still trying on my words. That matters so much to me. Like if your words aren't good, you're not even in the conversation type thing. Unless even Lil Yachty, I quoted his bars and compared it to Redman. Like it matters to me in a big way. But then it's like, okay, what are your struggles? Are they actually interesting content? Like, are they actually new and innovative? Like, I mean, not to be diminishing, but like, who hasn't written a white boy song on anxiety?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Real Talk was about my family, though. That wasn't
But that one to me was the most like on a content front. Holy shit, that's the most. That one like nobody else on earth could have written that song, but
no, it was impossible. Yeah, because it's my story, my life, and I agree with that. And the reason, like you said, I absolutely agree with who hasn't wrote about anxiety. Well, you said white boy, all the black artists write about it as well, right?
No, so but it's the way. Sorry, I say it like that, and I don't mean to go race with it, but there's this weird trend in underground white hip hop that is like, yo, people carbon copies and don't even know it. They literally write the same album on repeat. And you listen to a lot, you must have seen this trend where people think they're mad innovative And yo, it's no disrespect to it either. This is why I don't like talking too honestly about this shit, because I'm a bit of like you bore me. It's not that it's bad. It's like, yo, it's not that interesting. Whereas I'd rather hear a guy who with pure passion spits not great bars, because I can fuck with that energy, because that energy makes me feel something. But yo, I've heard too many liars spit good words. I've heard too many people say the right things, and I'm like, but we can all do that. Who can't write that song? Who can't study 17 great rappers and compose that shit?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, man. Like, that's the hardest thing I find about being a lyricist and a writer, is trying to do something that hasn't been done before. Best example I can use in a comedy example was, I think it was South Park or whatever. The Simpsons already did it. When they kept trying to do something, and it's like, The Simpsons already did it. The Simpsons already did it, trying to fit into that genre. It's hard with music nowadays. So with Real Talk, the best way I was able to do is like, I will write about my family that no one else can write about. And that's what I'm trying to strive to do a little more. And I did a song also, Be Yourself, and it's all about being yourself, but it was about like my journey and the other artist who's on it, his journey. I love those kind of songs. I get what you mean with the anxiety ones. I'm not really into it more.
Well, to be fair, I just picked that because it's even myself. I'm very guilty of this exact thing. So it wasn't even about you. I know the coincidence if you have a song called The Anxiety Song, and that may have triggered it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I had two, actually. Yeah, Let Me Go, and I had Anxious Mind. And those were both two anxiety songs and one thing. That's actually, in my opinion, too much. Like, no matter what you say to me, man, don't ever think you're gonna insult me.
It's not really about you. I don't want other people watching this who don't know me to think I'm just some fucking cold ass hater that don't give a shit. So I want people to know that it's more the opposite. I care a lot. And even within myself, like, I wrote a lot of negative shit, and my girlfriend looked at me, and I'm like, you don't even like my music. She's like, it's not that I don't like your music, but none of your music's fun. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. And then I thought about my live set recently, and there was like no way to like dance to anything I did. And I'm like, that's maybe not good. I'm so focused on this vibe that like, and the reality is that like the super lyrical dense thing, why it turns out this way, and this is my speculation after watching for a while, it's everybody that's a hip hop enthusiast is involved in the industry in some way at this point. They're either like a super fan, which I consider halfway in the community kind of thing. So they're like so split up on their time and attention that they barely count because they're supporting everybody. Or they're a video guy, or they're a networker, or they're a man on. So who in that lane is like pure fans? Like, as in people who just want to enjoy the music. It's like not. It's like it's not. It's more like sports in that lane. So it's like the fan base is your peers. Because there almost isn't a huge fan base outside of aspiring rappers and shit. It's just that there's so many people in that world.
Yeah.
That tech
you gotta also look at it as these people. The way I would think of it as well is like, I kind of know my. I'm saying it on me. I know you're not talking about me on behalf, but like say like Tech Nine.
I like your shit.
The ICP. I know. I appreciate you. I know you do. I'm not saying it. I just keep saying on me, but like ICP, let's say, they know their fan base. It's not going to hit a certain other audience. They're not going to go out and do a dance song just because they want to do, like, it hits there.
Legitimately what they did to lose their fan base, though.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So now they did that, but like they knew it before and they stuck with that fan base. So Tech Nine, I think he's done it too, where he's branched out. So he's done so many crazy things, but at first he stuck with that fan base. And Little Yachty, a guy you're saying who I don't really know anything about. So since you bringing him up, I remember hearing like 1-2 second song. I didn't like it, but the way you talked about him, I'm actually going to go check him out because maybe I missed something, and I appreciate your input on it. I appreciate your input on it. I want to check it out because I'm not a hater on people, but like they hit their certain audience, and once you try to branch out and hit everybody is when you diminish what you had, and you can actually fall down from that. So, is what I'm a big believer in.
From a business perspective, at the end of the day, there are prospects, people who you are trying to convert into clients. There are converted clients, your core fans, and these people, and then there are your peers. And as a guy who spent a very long time trying to be a really cool kid in this underground lyrical miracle fucking crowd, I realized there's no fans. It's just peers. All the Facebook is peers. It's like your move works because you're king of the network crowd, honestly. but not everybody can be you. There's only so
Yeah,
many spaces for that. So everybody else has to kind of roll with it a little bit.
but these guys, yeah, they're my peers, but they weren't my peers before this. They had to hear my music first and become a fan to
So,
agree to
but
be on the. So
how
there
many
is a
yous can there
fan.
really be in this game?
What do you mean? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
How many guys in your position like you can there really
Yeah.
be in this game? It's not infinite.
Anybody can try to do it, but the matter of who can actually accomplish it is probably very minimal. Absolutely.
But in a sense, you're in a position then where if we go on a more whatever way, your core audience is this group of people that I'm describing. But for most of the people that are this group of people who don't provide a service of any kind, how do you monetize that if everybody in there is broke? Not in the sense of that, but the fans don't have that money to dedicate to you because they're loving everybody. In general, that's how this fan base at the pure fans work. They love everybody, which means they're so split that they can't really be coming for you that dedicated like that. Maybe you get a 1-2, but it's not super sustainable.
Yeah.
And this is just a population model thing. Percentage of rappers, percentage of available fans, heavy competition. It's like if you're playing an SEO game, if everybody competes for the same keyword, only 2 guys still win. So why people are going the other direction is because it's just not as like, it's not that it's not as saturated, it's that like you literally just have a better chance at selling your shit.
You do, man. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And then every time I'm like rebuttaling your stuff, I don't want you to think I'm being argumentative or
I
something.
love it. This is the
At
show.
all. This is a fun conversation. Actually, I haven't had this with a lot of people on
This is
kind
the
of
after 10 part of the show.
Yeah, I love this part. Actually, I don't really have this conversation. So none of this is argumentative. I don't want you to ever take it as that or whatever. This is me having fun, actually, just shooting the shit with somebody. And I love your points, man. You're making them. But like I said, yeah, you're right on that. Like my core fan base is that group. It is that group of people, and they're lyricists themselves, so they respect the lyricists. But I've had people also as well that have like, if they're a fan of Mercules or Chris Webby or something like that, that they kind of compare me to that person. So I kind of obtain, and their fan base isn't still big, but I'm getting that piece. And it's just like you have one audience here that listens to this, you have one audience here listens to that, one audience over here. And if you try to hit off all of them at once, you're just thinning out every single one, where it's probably still not going to work. Like you said, what ICP did, Strange Music has done, I see, with Ismail writing with Strange Music, unfortunately moving from the core fan. And it like hurts, like, and so for me, I can't do a dance song. I can't. Like I've tried to do a dance song. That's just not me. And I
at 30,
don't do it.
I couldn't do a dance song. I started writing dance music this year. I swear.
Oh, did you?
Never before the age of 33 did I ever even try. But yo, because I was trying to like, anyway, I was thinking a lot about my girlfriend. You have to really go down the path of what would make your girlfriend dance.
I like how you said what she said, that like your music's just not fun.
And that's what she said to me. And I had to think hard on that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like that's so true. Luckily, my girl loves the underground hip hop like crazy, so you know she listens to Tech Nine and Bring the Bars guys. But to say that, it's so true, and I've been told that as well. It's like it's just not. No one wants to sometimes sit there and listen to every word you're saying. Like it's just not gonna be doable. Like they don't want to. You know, even when I'm out drinking. Yeah, when I'm out drinking and stuff, I don't want to sit there and listen to a whole Eminem 6-minute song of every lyric he drops. I want to listen to like an In the Club from 50 Cent or something. You know what I mean? Like I want to listen to that kind of music. So I get that 100%. I just, in my opinion, I haven't really tried it, but I just can't do it. Like I can't say I can't do it. I might be able to. I just haven't tried it.
I just fantasized. I was like craving sweat and dancing and shit, so I just let my imagination run away and I pictured myself raving. But I have a couple memories to pull from. So like I did pop some mollies and do some ravings. So like I'm basically tapping into that and going, what would I want to rap about that reminds me of this? I'm not trying to write rave music. I'm trying to write my own story on rave music. But I guarantee you Bring the Bars is the reason you pop a lot more than, frankly, anything else music related. And the way that Behind That Suit is going to make me pop a lot more than my music will, because it's what's happening, right?
Marketing, man. We brand it.
But it's bigger than that. Like, first of all, you're a we now, and you lead a we. You lead a we. That's big. Secondly, you're 30, so you're supposed to be more than a rapper. That's a big thing. I don't think a lot of people know that, I believe. But, like, yo, if you're, like, above the age of 25 and all you do is rap, you are not doing it right.
I like that. Yeah, it's true.
You need to, because, yo, all the 20-year-olds can just rap, in my opinion. Like, what else are you doing? You're 20. But, like, 25 is career time. You're supposed to be moving to career time at that point in your life. It's not supposed to, in my opinion at least, it's not supposed to still be the party unless you're making money on it, in which case go do your thing, homeboy. But, like, most people aren't. Like, okay, like, man, I know a lot of people drink, right? I don't drink a lot because the next day I can't function properly. But I see a lot of people who get drunk, then they oversleep the next day, and they don't, I don't know. I see the way people use their time and their productivity, and how they like move and stuff. And I'm like, yo, you only just put out like a song or two. I'm like, man, do you know how much music is being created by Griselda right now? Just Griselda. Yeah. How is your 1-2 song gonna compete? Like, that's what I really respected, is you've got this pipeline of shit that you're going to be pushing, so you're constantly going to have shit. And then you made more people attached to your name, which bigger moves, boss man things. That's amazing. Constant slew of attention coming your way all the time. Multiple platforms. That's big things. That's how everyone needs. So basically you're an influencer.
Yeah, but it started off as, like you said, 25 thinking rap would just do it. And then I realized, look what I branched off into now and what you're doing yourself. Like, we're hosts. I'm doing an award show. I have a label. I have signees. Like, it's not just the rapping that's going to pay the bills. You know what I mean? It's all this combined together. And it's constantly every day. Like, I bust my ass. Like, it's a 9 to 5, even longer. I would say even longer than a 9 to 5 of either writing music, getting to bring the bars going, doing a radio show, you can vouch to that too. And you say with the people, yeah, you get loaded one night, you sleep in. You got to learn if you are going to drink them one night. Like, if I did, like right now, I had a few beers, but if I was to go out and get like absolutely loaded, I still have to get up to get up at 8 a.m. I got a family and I got shit to do. So, I got to do it. There's no, if I can do it or whatever, it's, I have to do it. So.
Do people get like, do they drink and shit on your interviews and your shows? Like, do people ever get like fucked up or anything?
No, people smoke all the time during and I'm a big smoker. The reason I'm not smoking today is because this is just my personal thing I've always done. I've done it for a few years. Is I always quit weed from March 20th to April 20th. I always take a month off in the year and I don't smoke any weed. And then on 420, I'm going to be sparking up a big one. But in my show, The Update, I have a segment called Session Vibe where I kick back, smoke a joint, and listen to some songs and just comment on the songs while I'm listening to the joint, listening to the music.
I think that was a good double entendre.
Yeah. So I just, I always take that break. So 420, I'm coming back and I'll be rolling that joint I want so badly.
Yo, fair enough though. Honestly though, I think I'm getting hungry and we're gonna have to do this again in the future for reals.
Absolutely, man. I had a blast.
And I definitely want to talk to you a bit more. So partly I want to do that and not be like, yo, it's 11:47 shit, because that's happened a couple of times too. So I want to thank you all for being here watching this. Do you have any like last words you want to say?
I think we covered it all, man. Bust your ass, work hard, and Bring the Bars if you're an artist. That's all I can really say.
So I appreciate everybody. Yo, humble's interesting. So it's an interesting concept. But yo, thank you all for watching for real. I totally appreciate it on all the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at now. Definitely thank you. And if you're watching this in the future, make sure to hit the subscribes, the likes, the whatever. There's links in the description. Go follow Bring the Bars. It's so similar, man. I almost named my contest Bring the Bars until I remembered it was your shit. I swear that happened. But then it was like, so if you're watching, special thanks to the Patreons, that's where I was going. Ismail, Good MC, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williams, Scribble, the Dope. They support what we do. If you're on Twitch and you got that free Amazon Prime, subscribe, hit that button, and do that shit in the future. Patreon.com/BehindThatSuit. We're going to start that raid. Hit up DJ Bobby Payne. And on that note, live long and prosper, everybody. And now I'm going to hit the raid button, and then it's going to start the raid. Everyone. and then we wait about 8 seconds, and it's the worst. It's my least favorite part of the stream because it's just clunky and it takes 10 seconds, and then we hit the button.